Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Grand Voyage, the SvenScum of the Grand Line. Chapter 1, Sea Circle Calendar 1520. Whiskey Peak, inside a pub. Nefeltari Vivi, the Princess of Alabasta, is now undercover in the Baroque studio as Miss Wednesday. Am I right, Princess Vivi? The young man has short black hair, an elegant smile on the corner of his mouth, and a pair of gold glasses on the bridge of his nose, looking at the Princess Vivi in front of him. And after hearing what he said, Vivi's face was full of disbelief. Feeling the aggressive look in the other's eyes, Vivi spoke with difficulty. Who are you? Why do you know this? The teenager smiled. My name is Obai. Why do you know this? Does it really matter? Does it matter? Vivi's mood is extremely complicated at this time. She sensed an extremely dangerous aura from this guy named Obai. As the Princess of Alabasta, the reason why Vivi hides his identity as an undercover Baroque studio. Just to investigate the true purpose of the Baroque studio. And now Vivi also knows the truth. Mr. Zero by Baroque Studio. It is Crocodile, the sand crocodile of the 7 warlords of the sea. The 3-year drought in Alabasta was caused by Crocodile. Unfortunately, Vivi, who has not waited for the investigation to find out the truth, acted on this. In front of this man named Obai came to Whiskey Peak. Due to Obai's identity as a pirate, I was immediately targeted by the bounty hunters here. Those guys wanted to kill Obai while he let his guard down. Exchange Obai's head for a bounty. Unfortunately, however, those bounty hunters who want to take action against Obai, already dead outside this tavern. Vivi, who saw with his own eyes how Obai killed these people with just a wave of his hand. At this moment, my heart was full of fear for Obai. Vivi remembered the current crisis in Alabasta. Forcibly suppressing the fear in his heart, he looked at Obai and asked timidly. So, what do you want? Obai nodded. Think. Vivi. Obai chuckled softly. Now that you know Crocodile's identity, you should know what kind of crisis Alabasta is facing right now. And I can help Alabasta through this crisis. Hearing this, Vivi's eyes lit up instantly. Obai in front of him is the Grand Line entering from West Blue. Before that, he already had a bounty of 230 million Bailey. To be able to get to this level before entering the Grand Line speaks for itself. If Obai is willing to help Alabasta, maybe there is a real hope that the Baroque studio can be solved. Vivi took a deep breath and calmed down the excitement. I can pay you. What do you want? I can use the identity of Princess Alabasta to guarantee that no matter what conditions you have, after the crisis in Alabasta is lifted, I will do my best to satisfy you. Yes, very good. Obai nodded with satisfaction and said softly. What I want is you. When the voice fell, Vivi was stunned. She never thought, you will hear such words from Obai's mouth. Vivi pointed to himself, and asked a little puzzled. Want me? What does that mean? Obai just looked at Vivi with a smile and didn't mean to answer her question. However, feeling Obai's aggressive gaze, Vivi felt as though he had guessed what was on his mind. In an instant, the Princess of Alabasta had a blush on her cheeks. It added a bit of beauty to her beautiful face. Vivi with rosy cheeks asked tentatively. You said you want me, is that what I understand it to mean? Vivi, who asked this sentence, was very uneasy. For fear that I would accidentally anger this seemingly harmless, gentle and jade-like man. But when fighting, however, it was like a boy who had changed his thunder methods like a different person. And Vivi himself is a little confused. Deep in my heart, it seems that there is still a little bit of expectation for that guess. After all, with Obai's extremely handsome appearance, in this world where men's looks and styles are very strange, absolutely impeccable, dedicate your most precious things to such a man. It seems that it is yourself who takes advantage of it. Bah. Realizing his own thoughts, Vivi quickly shook his head secretly in his heart to drive the thought out. While complaining to myself in my heart, Nefeltari Vivi, you are not pure and spicy. Although I can't see what Vivi is thinking. But Obai can roughly guess her psychological changes. After all, coming to this world for so many years, Obai has long been accustomed to the huge lethality that his face will bring to women. You didn't misunderstand. For me, Alabasta doesn't have much appeal. Alabasta unattractive. So it seems that to Obai, I am still very attractive to him. Vivi was a little bit happy. But do you really want to do this? Just when Vivi was a little undecided, the door of the tavern was violently blasted open. Bang! Vivi, how are you? As the captain of the Kingdom Guard, Ekalem, who was undercover with Vivi, asked anxiously. Right, the duck came in with him. Ekalem gave Vivi a worried look. Immediately, he looked at Obai's location, and made an eye-catching posture. Not waiting for Obai's reaction, Vivi spoke quickly. I'm fine, Ekalem, you go out first, I have something to talk to Obai. Perhaps, Alabasta is saved. Alabasta saved. Is Obai? Ekalem is still a little uneasy. No matter what, Obai is a pirate, and he has such a powerful power. If he really wants to do something to Princess Vivi, then I'm afraid Princess Vivi doesn't even have the ability to resist. But after feeling the firm eyes of Princess Vivi, Ekalem finally turned around and left the tavern with the duck. Vivi breathed a sigh of relief. But before she could say anything, Obai raised her chin with his fingers, and in the most gentle tone, said the words that broke Vivi's inner hesitation. Princess Vivi, you don't want to see Alabasta destroyed by Crocodile, do you? Obai's gentle words echoed in the tavern. The hesitation in Vivi's heart was broken down on the spot. The status quo of Alabasta, Vivi, is very clear. If this drought continues, it won't be long before the war will spread throughout Alabasta. Countless people will die in drought and war. Of course she didn't want to see Alabasta destroyed in the hands of Crocodile. For this, Vivi is willing to pay any price. And most importantly, with Obai's handsome looks, she really doesn't lose. Seeing Wei Wei's decision, Obai gently rubbed her head, and then slowly pressed her down. Come on then, let's get a little interest before I clear Alabasta's situation. Crouching down, Vivi raised her delicate face and looked at Obai in confusion. She was a little confused about what Obai was talking about interest. However, seeing Obai's next move, Vivi immediately understood the meaning, and his face turned red in an instant. But after seeing Luoyu's hot eyes, Vivi finally made a choice. After more than half an hour had passed, Obai slammed Vivi's head down. Well, Vivi, who noticed Obai's thoughts, could only accept his fate. Gudong, cough cough cough. Vivi, who was choking on the milk, let out a violent dry cough. I rubbed my cheeks that were a little stiff due to the long time. Vivi stood up, with a rosy face, and looked at Obai in front of him with a wink. Feel her shyness. Without waiting for Vivi to say anything, Obai spoke directly. Let's rest first, and leave for Alabasta tomorrow. Vivi nodded and walked out of the tavern with Obai. Looking at her figure, Obai shook his head slightly unhappy. Said inwardly, it's still too unfamiliar, but from a pure novice to an old Siji, it's the most fulfilling, isn't it? With this in mind, Obai took out an after-the-fact cigarette and put it in his mouth. Pat. The cigarette was lit. Obai exhaled a puff of smoke and let out a long breath. Obai didn't plan to eat Vivi now. Now Vivi's heart is full of worries about Alabasta. After all, only after the crisis of Alabasta is lifted, she will give herself wholeheartedly. Able to do this. For the Princess Vivi, it is already very good. Obai put his hands behind his head, with an elegant and decent smile on his face. For the uninformed, Obai has unrivaled charm. However, judging from what he just did, that's like a downright SvenScum. Obai doesn't care about this. After all, to this world, he is a pure outsider himself. To be precise, Obai is a transmigrator. A year ago, I came to this one-piece world where the weak eat the strong and the strong eat everything. At the same time, cheat is also activated. As long as someone hits Obai, even if it just punches him, then Obai can obtain the opponent's devil fruit ability, physical skills, hockey and all other means. Obai didn't swell because of his powerful cheat. Because he knows, once your cheat is exposed, that will instantly become the target of the whole world. Whether it's pirates, or marine and the world government, it is absolutely impossible to allow such a dangerous monster to exist. Who knows the world government that has ruled the world for more than 800 years? What kind of horror is hiding behind? Before it is strong enough, Obai will never reveal his cheat. and what he is now using to hide people's eyes and ears. It is the ability of Paramesha magnetic fruit. Yes, the ability of Kid, who is also a supernova like Wong Luffy. Of course, in this world, there will never be a supernova like Kid again, because he has already died at the hands of Luo Bai. In addition to the magnetic fruit ability, Luo Bai also has items including but not limited to Zone White Tiger Fruit, Evil Wolf Fruit, Paramesha Scaling Fruit, etc. And now, Luo Bai is naturally eyeing Crocodile's Baroque Studio. Luo Bai is very clear. In the hands of the members of the Baroque Studio, they still have good demon abilities. The reason why he will help Alabasta, just to get the abilities of the members of the Baroque Studio. Not for Vivi and some unnamed Ohara scholar. Absolutely not. For what you need to do after stepping into the Grand Line. Luo Bai has already made plans. Next, just implement it step by step. After the two walked out of the tavern, they encountered a worried Equilem face to face. Seeing that Princess Vivi was not hurt, Equilem could not help but breathe a deep sigh of relief. Wen even looked at Luo Bai and asked tentatively, "Well, are you really willing to help us Alabasta deal with the Baroque Studio? I don't know what you want in return." Equilem is not naive enough to think that Luo Bai, a pirate, will help them Alabasta get through the crisis for free. However, at this juncture, as long as Luo Bai's conditions are not too discreet, that even their King Cobra would not refuse. After all, Alabasta couldn't bear the drought to continue. Luo Bai shook his head and said, "Your Princess Vivi is in charge of things like remuneration." Equilem glanced at Vivi in surprise after hearing the words. After seeing the blush on Vivi's face, Equilem had a strange thought. Shouldn't it, Princess Vivi should give herself to Luo Bai as a reward. This thought flashed through my mind. Ikaram felt more and more aware of the truth. The much-loved princess in Alabasta just sent it. However, looking at Luo Bai's smiling face and the blush on Princess Vivi's face, Equilem felt that he couldn't stop this from happening at all. After all, people's talents are a natural pair. It's your turn to be the captain of the Kingdom Guard to oppose it. King Cobra, who pitied his daughter's slave. I don't know if he saw this scene. What a complicated mood it would be, seeing Equilem's face changing back and forth. In order not to let him continue to think wildly, Vivi said quickly, "Let's take a night's rest and leave for Alabasta tomorrow." Without waiting for Equilem to respond, he took Luo Bai and left here directly. The milk tasted good, and Vivi wanted to try it again. Grand Line, a galloping ship. Equilem hesitated for a long time. Finally, he turned his head to look at Luo Bai and asked, "Mr. Luo Bai, Crocodile, as one of the 7 warlords of the sea, must be very powerful. Can you really solve the threat of the Baroque Studio?" It's not that Equilem doesn't believe Luo Bai. It is indeed the name of 7 warlords of the sea. For Alabasta in the first half of the Grand Line, it's really intimidating. Crocodile can rely on its own strength. The entire Alabasta was plunged into a 3-year drought. Let the people of Alabasta gradually lose their trust in Cobra as king. Alabasta now has been engulfed in an increasingly serious civil war. Although Luo Bai's bounty is higher than Crocodile, but something like a bounty, it can't represent everything. After all, since becoming the 7 warlords of the sea, Crocodile's bounty has already been locked and has not grown. But who can guarantee Crocodile's strength has not improved? Luo Bai closed his eyes and lay on the deck chair on the deck. The whole look is lazy. After hearing Equilem's inquiry, Luo Bai didn't even open his eyes and said casually, "Do not worry. Don't talk about interest. I even collected the principal in advance, and of course it will solve Alabasta's troubles." Equilem is numb. As a visitor, although I don't know what the interest Luo Bai is talking about is, but he can roughly guess. In order to let Luo Bai help save Alabasta, Princess Vivi must have paid a very high price for this. Equilem is very clear. Princess Vivi has been in the same room with Luo Bai these past few days. They can't be staring, can they? That's right, Luo Bai finally ate Vivi before saving Alabasta. Vivi had taken the initiative to come to the door. How could Luo Bai refuse? Since coming to this world and realizing the rules of survival in this world, Luo Bai had already gotten used to it in the shortest time. The weak eat the strong, and the strong take all. It's the right thing to do in itself. So, why did he refuse Vivi who came to his door? Rather, enjoy it. Take this test cadre. Which cadre can withstand such a test? However, Vivi's efforts were not in vain. Obai didn't waste time elsewhere. Go straight to Alabasta to help the princess solve the crisis. And after these few days of getting along, thrashing, Vivi's body and mind have been completely handed over to Obai. Unlike at first, like a transaction. At this time, she was completely in love with Obai. After Obai said that her long hair is more beautiful. When Vivi untied the ponytail, the long aqua blue hair fluttered freely under the sea breeze. It adds a bit of beauty to the Alabasta princess. Obai, at our current speed, we will reach Alabasta in 1 day. However, there is a good chance that Crocodile already knew about Whiskey Peak. I think he should have sent someone to deal with us. Vivi has never been just a beautiful vase. Otherwise, she would not have chosen to go undercover in the Baroque studio. According to Vivi's guess, there must be others in the Baroque studio at Whiskey Peak. She and Ecolem accompanied Obai into the Grand Line. It is estimated that those people have reported to Crocodile at the first time. For Crocodile, no one would be allowed to betray him. Obai nodded casually upon hearing this. Then let them come, it's not a big problem. Although Obai's tone was as flat as ever. But whether it's Vivi or Ecolem, they all felt great confidence from him. Knowing that the enemy is the 7 warlords of the sea. To remain so calm, this in itself has been able to explain a lot of problems. In Vivi's eyes, Obai's charm itself is deadly enough. In this situation now, it made her move unconsciously. Vivi's eyes flickered, and he said with a wink, Obai, do you want to rest for a while? Obai raised his brows when he heard the words, and when he looked at Vivi, he realized something. When he even picked it up, he walked towards the cabin. For Vivi, the experience of the past few days has given her some taste. Since Vivi has an idea, Obai certainly doesn't mind satisfying each other. Seeing this, Ecolem could only move forward with the ship at full speed in a lonely posture. He misses his wife. After the big ship traveled for half a day, finally encountered an uninvited guest. Ecolem looked at the 2 figures on the opposite boat. His face instantly became solemn. Mr. 5, Miss Valentine. You 2 guys, did Crocodile send you here? After hearing Ecolem's cry, Obai and Vivi walked out of the room. Looking at the 2 guys on the opposite boat, Vivi instantly became vigilant. And after seeing Obai and Vivi appear, Miss Valentine covered her mouth and smiled. It seems that there is no need to waste time, all 3 are here. Mr. 5 shrugged and said coldly, indeed, the Miss Wednesday of our Baroque studio turned out to be the Princess of Alabasta. And Mr. 8, Ecolem, the captain of the Kingdom Guard of Alabasta. I have to say, you 2 are really brave. But, that's the end of it. While speaking, Mr. 5 turned his attention to Obai who was standing beside Vivi. Without waiting for him to speak, Miss Valentine, who was on the side, spoke first. Obai, the order Mr. 0 gave us is to try to win over you. If you're willing to join the Baroque studio, then you can forget about what you've done at Whiskey Peak. How are you, do you want to join us? Miss Valentine blinks. No wonder she was not reserved, she was attracted by Obai's deadly charm at first glance. Under the watchful eyes of all, Obai showed an elegant and decent smile on his face. After pushing the gold wire glasses on the bridge of his nose, he said, that's a real pity, I can't join the Baroque studio. Because, the Baroque studio will soon cease to exist. After hearing Obai's words, Ecolem, who was beside him, could not help but breathe a deep sigh of relief in his heart. He was really afraid that Obai chose to join the Baroque studio. If that's the case, I am afraid that Alabasta is really going to be helpless. Vivi is not worried about this. During the time I spent with Obai, Vivi has a general understanding of Obai's character and behavior. Whatever he says, he will definitely do it. For example, Obai said before that if she couldn't go out for a day, she really couldn't go out the whole day. Miss Valentine shook her head regretfully and sighed. What a pity, you really don't want to change your mind. The power of the Baroque studio is not comparable to those of the pirates in West Blue. Obai just smiled and looked at Miss Valentine. There was no answer to her exhortation. In the end, it was Miss Valentine who couldn't hold back and looked away. Obai is simply poisonous. Even just looking at his face. Miss Valentine has gradually lost the idea of hands on him. Just when Miss Valentine was about to say something, Mr. 5 on the side directly waved his hand to interrupt. Don't waste your time. I've said it before, Obai couldn't have bowed his head before he experienced the real beating. If you want him to join the Baroque studio, you must first let him feel despair. Miss Valentine glanced at him. I completely lost the soft look in Obai's eyes before. A direct warning. You can do it, but you must not let Obai die in your hands. Mr. 5 shrugged, his face full of helplessness and unhappiness. Is it necessary to be so excited? This guy Obai is just handsome and elegant. Is it amazing? Come on, it's really amazing. At least in this respect, he is not even qualified to compare with Obai. However, in this world where the strong eat the weak, after all, it depends on the power to speak. Mr. 5 waved his hand impatiently. It's all right, I know. Crocodile has already explained. Try to bring Obai to our Baroque studio. Do you still need to care about this kind of thing? Miss Valentine pouted, but did not continue to struggle with this matter. However, at this time, Obai suddenly chuckled and looked at the two of them playfully. By the way, are you too overconfident? You don't really think that the two of you are really strong, do you? Hear this. Mr. 5 frowned, and even Miss Valentine raised his brows. Obai doesn't quite understand. How did they achieve such a lack of a clear understanding of their own strength? Or, with a crocodile of the 7 warlords of the sea as their boss. Let them feel that in the first half of this grand line, no one is their opponent anymore. In this case, that Obai didn't mind using absolute strength to wake them up. Obai stepped on. The body directly charged towards the position of Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine on the opposite side. Shish. Seeing Obai's actions, the two people on the boat were startled. Mr. 5 even picked his nostrils and flicked at Obai. Seeing this situation, Obai said that he couldn't stand it. Even if you were already mentally prepared, after really seeing his disgusting attacking moves, still a little hard to accept. Although he wanted to get this guy's explosive fruit ability. But I definitely don't want to achieve my goal by removing the other party's booger. Twist your body under your feet. Easily dodged this guy's booger bomb. The booger bomb fell on the sea, and a violent roar erupted in an instant. Bang! With the explosion of this booger bomb, the originally calm sea surface was directly set off by turbulent waves. At the same time, Obai's fist also landed on this guy's head. Boom! Hit by a fist packed with terrifying power. Mr. 5's body flew out uncontrollably. That is, Obai deliberately controlled his own power. Otherwise, with one punch, this guy's head will probably shatter like a watermelon. Before getting his explosive fruit ability, this guy is still useful. Mr. 5 shook his bewildered head. There was a tinge of fear in my heart. Obai's strength was somewhat beyond his expectations. This guy who just stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue. Stronger than he imagined. Accept this quest from Crocodile. Probably the stupidest decision I made. Just when Mr. 5 was struggling with whether or not to run away, I saw Obai looked at him and smiled. The next moment, his body disappeared directly in place. In Mr. 5's terrified eyes, Obai appeared directly in front of him. And his fist, once again aimed at his head, is about to fall. Don't give him a chance to pick his nose and use a booger bomb at all. Seeing this, Mr. 5 gritted his teeth. He could only clench his fists and fight against Obai, trying to resist Obai's attack while looking for an opportunity to run away. However, at the moment when the two fists collided, only then did Mr. 5 realize how outrageous his mistakes were. When he saw Mr. 5 punch, Obai knew that his goal had been achieved. Of course it won't continue. After all, take Obai's cheat. As long as the opponent does it himself, then he can fully obtain all the capabilities of the opponent. The fists of the two collided. A crisp sound of bone shattering erupted directly. Crack! What? A mournful wailing sound came from Mr. 5's mouth. The Baroque studio member howled while clutching his broken arm. Seeing this, Obai shook his head, raised his right hand to activate the magnetic fruit ability. Under Luo Bai's control, a long knife swiftly struck towards Mr. Five's position. After Mr. Five reacted, there was no chance to dodge. He could only watch as the long knife slashed at his neck. Laugh. The long knife cut it down, and the brain and the body were instantly separated. Feeling the extra explosive fruit ability of my own, Luo Bai couldn't help sighing to himself. It's obviously a very powerful devil fruit ability, but it's such a waste that it can only be used for picking nostrils. Then turned around, looking at the pale face in front of Miss Valentine with fear in his eyes. Said with a smile, "Miss Valentine, you don't want to die like this guy, do you?" Miss Valentine panicked. It all happened so fast. After hearing Luo Bai's question, she finally reacted. Looking at Mr. Five's body on the deck, Miss Valentine is harmless to this appearance. On the contrary, Luo Bai, who is still very elegant and handsome, has a deep fear in his heart. The same people who are Baroque Studios. She is very aware of Mr. Five's strength. But such a guy, in front of Luo Bai, there is no resistance at all. In such a short period of time, Luo Bai easily killed the opponent. Miss Valentine took 2 steps back in a panic, swallowed and said, I certainly don't want to die." Luo Bai nodded with satisfaction and took her back to the big ship where Vivi was on. Miss Valentine is still a little apprehensive. Did Luo Bai really let himself go like this? Luo Bai, who killed Mr. Five just now while talking and laughing, is so good at talking. Luo Bai is not a good talker. To be precise, he's not even a good guy. Now that he has come to this world, he has his own cheat. Why put a shackle on yourself? And most importantly, in this world of the weak and the strong, good people never live long. It will only end in a very miserable end. And the reason why Luo Bai let go of Miss Valentine, apart from the fact that she didn't have any ill will towards herself just now, and instead forbade Mr. Five from hurting herself. The most important reason, it's because Luo Bai likes the first half of, "There must be my teacher." After this achievement, Luo Bai can only say to this, "It's really moist." While Luo Bai accomplished this achievement, the ship they were on was also moving at full speed towards where Alabasta was. Without wasting time, at this time have arrived in Alabasta. Luo Bai, Vivi and others also started to move towards the rainland in Alabasta. While heading to Alabasta Rainland, Luo Bai thought to himself in his heart. According to Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, judging from the behavior of going to Whiskey Peak after receiving Crocodile's order. Obviously, at this time, the Straw Hat Pirates have also stepped into the Grand Line. If nothing else, now Wong Luffy and others are probably at the Whale Lagoon. It will be a long time before they get to Alabasta. If that's the case, then let the Straw Hat Pirates follow me and eat ashes. Now is not the time to get hands on those guys. In other words, that is, the Straw Hat Pirates have other functions. If you are lucky enough, Summit War may be caused by Luo Bai. Luo Bai didn't mind having Wong Luffy also appear on the execution stand at Naval Headquarters. If that's the case, the benefits he can obtain in Summit War have become even greater. Just as Luo Bai was thinking about the details of the next action, the phone bug in Miss Valentine's pocket suddenly came with a rapid sound. Miss Valentine took it out and looked at Luo Bai in front of him with a tangled face. "It's Crocodile, what should I do?" For Poseidon Luo Bai, who was wandering among the flowers in his previous life, completely conquering a woman can be said to be a simple matter. It's only been a day now. Miss Valentine has completely betrayed Crocodile. The whole body has become the shape of Luo Bai. How to deal with Crocodile's calls, of course, has to be decided by Luo Bai. Luo Bai just smiled casually and said, "Come on, let him know by the way and let him get ready." Luo Bai doesn't want to waste his time on Baroque Studios. After all, on the Grand Line, Luo Bai has other devil fruit abilities to replicate. What he wants to see. It was the Crocodile who brought together all the Baroque Studios, so that he can solve it all at once. Miss Valentine didn't hesitate to connect the phone bug directly. "Mr. Five, where have you been? Have you met Luo Bai and Nefeltari Vivi? Don't forget what I told you, try to bring Luo Bai to our Baroque studio." The phone worm just connected. From inside came Crocodile's slightly hoarse voice. And this phone bug that should have been carried by Mr. Five. He was taken with him by Miss Valentine after his death. Miss Valentine pondered her words and said it very politely. Mr. 5 is dead. I've just returned to Alabasta with Obai now. He asked me to tell you that you'd better get everyone in the Baroque studio together. In this way, at least you won't die too alone. Silence. Silence as the crocodile at this time. It never occurred to him to hear this from Miss Valentine. After a brief silence, Crocodile finally accepted the fact. Said in a tone that forcibly suppressed monstrous anger. Obai, you really surprised me. Didn't that Princess Vivi tell you my true identity? Obai took the phone bug from Miss Valentine and smiled indifferently. The identity of the 7 warlords of the sea. After hearing this, Crocodile became even more angry. How dare you kill my subordinates when you know my true identity is 7 warlords of the sea? Do you really think that I'm one of those trash fish you killed at West Blue? Crocodile's words are full of disdain for the pirates in the 4 seas. But he obviously forgot. He spent so many years in the first half of the Grand Line. It is no longer the sand crocodile that could challenge Whitebeard and not die. Is there any difference between you and those trash fish from West Blue? Crocodile was silent again. He was a little curious. How on earth did this guy Obai use a tone that makes people feel like a spring breeze, saying words that can directly break the defense? Crocodile across from the phone bug took a deep breath. Since you're looking for death, then I'll be waiting for you in the rain. Hope you don't run away. Obai laughed lightly when he heard the words. Finally, I advise you to gather all your subordinates. I don't have that much time to waste on trash fish. Bang! Furious Crocodile threw the phone bug to the ground. Alabasta, Rainland, Rain Feast Casino. Crocodile in the office, after breaking the phone bug. I couldn't help but start breathing deeply. His eyes were filled with strong murderous intent and bloodthirsty light. Since leaving New World and coming to the first half of this Grand Line, Crocodile has never had such a suffocating experience again. Just a kid who just stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue. He can ignore what Obai has done on Whiskey Peak. Instead, let Mr. 5 be responsible for winning him over. It would be generous enough to have him in the Baroque studio. As a result, this guy named Obai. He was so arrogant that he knew he was 7 warlords of the sea. Also killed Mr. 5, and many more. Crocodile suddenly remembered. The first person to answer your phone just now seems to be Miss Valentine, right? After recalling what Miss Valentine said, Crocodile fell into a brief silence. Immediately, a terrifying aura erupted from his body. If nothing else, Miss Valentine at this time betrayed the Baroque studio. Betray me, Obai. Miss Valentine, you guys are fine. Lousy must kill you with his own hands and let you know what real pain is. After a burst of madness, Crocodile did not hesitate and gave the order directly. Get all the members of the Baroque studio to come to the Rain Feast Casino. Although Obai was dismissive in his mouth, said that his previous opponents were just trash fish. But Crocodile is actually very clear in his heart. Be able to become the pirate with the highest bounty in West Blue. The strength that Obai possesses. It's definitely not something that can be solved casually. After all, Crocodile is not the sand crocodile that was all-powerful in New World. It is only after meeting the King Luffy who has the halo of the protagonist. Crocodile will be demoted. After the chief conductors of the Baroque studio gathered at the Rain Banquet Casino, Crocodile told them what had happened in the calmest tone possible. After hearing Crocodile's description, the chief conductors of the Baroque studios are all eager to try fighting to kill Obai who dared to provoke them. These guys have never been as good as the original plot. They are pirates, able to keep Alabasta from raining for 3 years. The pirates who plunge the country into drought and war. Does anyone else think there are some good people in the Baroque studio? That is, Wong Luffy's personality charm, the protagonist's halo, is strong enough. Otherwise, no one else can successfully influence these guys. Hear these guys yelling. Crocodile took a sharp puff on the cigar, exhaled a thick puff of smoke, and said in a deep voice. No matter what, you can't underestimate Obai. Get ready. After killing Obai, our Baroque studio's purpose can be achieved. After getting Crocodile's order, the chief conductors of the Baroque studios went to summon their subordinates one after another. Waited so long. The purpose of their Baroque studio is finally nearing completion. After getting the ancient weapon Pluton, these people can also go to New World to fight against those real masters. Compared to Alabasta in the first half of the Grand Line, obviously, the magnificent New World is more attractive to them. And after these guys left, Crocodile looked at Nico Robin, who was sitting quietly across from him, and asked in a deep voice. Nico Robin, how is the thing I told you to do? How long will it take to interpret the historical text and find the whereabouts of ancient weapon Pluton? Nico Robin rested his elbows on the table in front of him. He chuckled lightly, resting his chin in his palm. It'll be fine soon. A look of impatience flashed across Crocodile's face, threatening. Better it really is. Give you the last few days. If you can't find Pluton's whereabouts, then I'll take you for lying to me. You should know very well what will happen to cheating me, right? Crocodile felt like a big bad guy. As Nico Robin, an O'Hara scholar, is it really so difficult to interpret the historical text? Or that she has been perfunctory herself? But that doesn't matter anymore. If we wait until this incident is completely over. If Nico Robin has not found Pluton's whereabouts through the historical text, that Crocodile didn't mind letting her feel it at all. After all, the water in the body has been taken away. What kind of feeling will it be? Facing the threat of Crocodile. Robin just smiled nonchalantly. After Crocodile also left this office, Robin's eyes finally began to twinkle. She has been waiting for the right opportunity to leave the Baroque studio. Perhaps, the Obai who just stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue would be a good opportunity. As for the promise to Crocodile to help him find Pluton's whereabouts, Robin just wanted to say, hee hee. Obai didn't make Crocodile wait too long. Soon came to the largest casino in Alabasta. Looking at the splendor of the rain banquet, Obai couldn't help but chuckle. The 7 warlords of the sea are really comfortable in Alabasta. Hearing this, Vivi's eyes instantly turned red. Looking at the casino that hides sins in front of me, Vivi cursed fiercely. All these fools in the Baroque studio, all be killed. Miss Valentine had an embarrassed look on her face when she heard this. Anyway, she was also a member of the Baroque studio before. Vivi waved his hand. Except you. We will be comrades on the same front in the future. Without your help, I would not be Obai's opponent. Miss Valentine nodded vigorously with a deep understanding. Not to mention it's one-on-one, they are no match for Obai. Ecolem and the duck named Karu had already gone to the capital to report the matter to Cobra. Vivi's conversation with Miss Valentine also made no secret of it. Obai smiled and said, since you're here, say hello to Crocodile first. The voice fell. Obai raised his right hand, the magnetic fruit ability activated, and the casino in front of him began to disintegrate under his control. In this casino, already filled with agents of the Baroque studio, these agents just knew that the enemy was coming to attack them. It is completely unclear what kind of ability Obai possesses. Even through bounties and newspapers, knowing that Obai is a crocodile known for his magnetic fruit ability. Still caught off guard by Obai. After discovering the changes in this casino, Crocodile realized something was wrong. When even want to use the sand fruit ability, go outside to stop Obai's behavior. Unfortunately, however, Crocodile was finally a step too late. Under the control of Obai's magnetic fruit ability, the casino that had existed for several years collapsed. Boom rumble. With a roar, the dust in the sky covered this place. It's hard to see what's going on inside. The agents who were summoned by the Baroque studio inside, most of them are directly buried in it. The signs of life were completely lost in an instant. Only the pain and wailing from the bottom of the collapsed casino from time to time explain that there are people who survived below. There are only those chief commanders who are not bad at all to survive this disaster. Just dust on these guys. It added a bit of embarrassment to them. Crocodile glared at Obai, who was facing him, his eyes filled with murderous intent and bloodthirsty light. There was a terrifying aura about him. It's like a crocodile that wants to choose someone to devour. Obai, you bloody fool. I've decided, before you die, I will definitely let you feel how painful it will be after all the water in your body disappears. These years, Crocodile used the sand fruit ability to extract moisture from the enemy. how much pain those guys will suffer. Crocodile is very clear. If he is not allowed to experience this pain before he dies. So sorry for what he did. Without waiting for Obai to respond, Vivi on the side stared at Crocodile with red eyes, and said with hatred in his eyes. Crocodile, how did Alabasta offend you? The one who made you treat Alabasta like this. Obai's actions are nothing compared to what you did in Alabasta. Hear this. Crocodile turned his attention from Obai to Vivi. Feeling the hatred radiating from Vivi, Crocodile exhaled a puff of smoke and said with a look of disdain. Alabasta didn't mess with me. Or, the reason why Alabasta is in crisis is because you are too weak. In this world, weakness itself is the original sin. After hearing Crocodile's answer, Vivi's face was full of confusion and hatred. Just because Alabasta is so weak, it deserves to be destroyed by you bloody fools. How beautiful was Alabasta in the beginning. How shattered it is now. 3 years of drought. It has put this kingdom in a precarious situation, and it will be destroyed at any time. Undercover in the Baroque studio is a princess. After learning that the owner of the Baroque studio is Crocodile, Vivi is very clear, light by the power of Alabasta. There is absolutely no way to deal with the threat of the Baroque studio. It is also conceivable what kind of despair she has felt in her heart these days. But Vivi felt that she was lucky. In the most desperate times, the appearance of Obai brought her new hope. Let Vivi look forward to Obai's destruction of the Baroque studio. Alabasta can be restored to its original form. Mind here. Vivi turned her head to look at Obai. With tears in her eyes, she sniffled and choked. Obai, help me. Obai smiled and rubbed Vivi's head. In the gentlest tone, he said the words to relax Vivi. Don't worry Vivi, leave it to me. Aha. Vivi nodded vigorously and said nothing more. After a few days of getting along, Vivi already has confidence in Obai. As long as Obai takes action, that would definitely drive the Crocodile and Baroque studios out of Alabasta. Obai looked at Crocodile and said with a smile. Since you said that being weak is the original sin, then when you died in my hands, you shouldn't have any complaints, right? Crocodile took a sharp sip on the cigar after hearing this. He let out a puff of smoke and said with a look of disdain. Just because you are a kid who has just entered the Grand Line, are you qualified to say such things in front of me? It seems that it's really those trash fishes from West Blue, so you don't have a firm understanding of your own strength. Without waiting for Obai to respond, then he turned his head to look at Miss Valentine standing on the other side of Obai. After seeing this woman, Crocodile was instantly furious. You should know what will happen if you betray me. I promise, I will give you a very painful death. Miss Valentine spread her hands indifferently. Crocodile is just her boss. But Obai is already her only man. Which is more important? No need to say more, right? Just when Crocodile wanted to continue threatening her, Obai waved his hand and looked at Crocodile with interest. Don't talk nonsense, let's fight quickly. I've said it before, there's not a lot of time to waste on you. Hear this. Crocodile was instantly furious. With a swoosh, he raised the golden poisonous hook in his left hand and pointed at Obai, who was facing him. Roared in his hoarse voice. Kill him. The chief conductors of the Baroque studios, such as Mr. 1 Daz Bonus, Mr. 2 Bentham, and Mr. 3, who were already eager to try, were on the sidelines. Having received Crocodile's order without hesitation, almost at the same time, he rushed towards Obai's location. Crocodile is not a brainless fool. He wants his subordinates to fight Obai first, just to find out what kind of confidence Obai has for being so arrogant. Even if they are not Obai's opponents, at least it can also consume Obai's power, so that he can easily get rid of this disgusting guy. Only, what Crocodile doesn't know is the reason why Obai didn't get rid of these miscellaneous fish immediately. Just to make this happen, Obai will not let go of the abilities of these chief conductors. In the face of the offensive of the chief conductors of these Baroque studios, Obai not only has no intention of retreating. Instead, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Next moment, a muffled sound rang out. Bang! Obai stepped on the ground suddenly, the ground cracked, and his body rushed directly towards these guys. Luobai's speed was completely beyond the expectations of the chief conductors. Shish! In the terrified eyes of the crowd, Luobai suddenly appeared in front of Mr. 3. In this original story, the future vice-emperor of Buggy, the ugly emperor, hurriedly displayed his wax fruit ability in a panic. Under the control of Mr. 3, the candle slime produced from his arm was directly attached to Luobai's fist. Seeing that Luobai couldn't dodge his attack, a surprise flashed in Mr. 3's eyes. When even manipulating those candle slime and making it solidify, trying to restrain Luobai with this. At the same time, he shouted loudly, "Hurry up, I've got him under control. Luobai will never be able to break free from my candle." Mr. 3 banged his fists on his chest, confident in your wax fruit abilities. In order to better restrain Luobai's actions, Miss Double Finger with an explosive head on the side raised his hands. Several thorns suddenly appeared under Luobai's feet. I want to wrap Luobai's body around. However, what made her a little unbelievable was that Luobai just moved slightly and kicked on these thorns. It will directly smash these thorns. At the same time, the candle that Mr. 3 could never break free was directly broken by Luobai. Crack! Looking at the wreckage of candles and thorns scattered on the ground, Mr. 3 and Miss Double Finger were a little unacceptable for a while. Speak the truth, with the strength Luobai gained from staying at West Blue for a year, dealing with this kind of thing is completely a one-shot kill. That is, in order to obtain the abilities they have. I just put water on purpose. But now that the goal has been achieved, of course Luobai will not continue to let them live. Luobai's eyes suddenly froze, and when he stepped on it, his body disappeared directly in place. Without waiting for Mr. 3 and Miss Double Finger to react, Luobai's hands have grabbed their heads respectively. Then even if a strong hand splits the skull, they were about to smash their heads together. At the last minute, the two were aware of their dangerous situation. When each of them used the Devil Fruit ability to escape, Miss Double Finger dragged her body with thorns, trying to pull myself out of Luobai's hands. Mr. 3 relies on wax fruit ability. In the shortest possible time, I put a candle made of a helmet on my head. But the next moment, only then did the two of them realize what they were doing was in vain. Boom! A dull voice sounded, broken thorns, and candle fragments began to fall downward. These two senior agents of the Baroque studio, their heads have exploded. Even if Buggy can become the 4 emperors in the future, he will not have Mr. 3 as an emperor. The rest didn't even realize what happened. I only know that Mr. 3 used a candle to imprison Luobai's fists, and shouting to let them do something to Luobai. In the blink of an eye, Mr. 3 and Miss Double Finger were already dead in Luobai's hands. What's the matter with this horse riding? Luobai ignored the mental activities of these guys. They threw their bodies on the ground at will, turn around and quickly attack Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 on the other side. Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 looked at each other. You can clearly see the dignified look in each other's eyes. This guy Luobai is nothing like the trash fish they killed before. This guy who just stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue. I'm afraid it's not something they can deal with at all. This thought flashed through my mind. Mr. 1's body instantly turned into a blade as hard as steel. He slashed at Luobai who was attacking him, and Mr. 2, whose own abilities don't play a role in battle. He also raised his right leg, aimed at Luobai like a battle axe and chopped it down. Boom! Luobai raised his fists to easily block the attack of these two guys. Feeling the 2 extra powers in my body, Luobai smiled with satisfaction. Sure enough, compared to places like West Blue, if you want to make yourself more capable and improve your strength as quickly as possible, still have to come to the Grand Line. But it is precisely because of the accumulation in West Blue. Only when Luobai faced the Baroque studio, he seemed so at ease. Seeing that his attack was easily blocked by Luobai. Feel the power coming from your arms and legs. Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 hurriedly shouted at Crocodile. Boss, we are no match for this guy. Come and help us. Crocodile took a hard bite at the cigar in his mouth. There was an angry look on his face. The strength of his own men is still too weak. After finding the ancient weapon Pluton, be sure to go to New World as soon as possible to recruit more powerful men. By that time, Crocodile will personally kill Whitebeard who defeated him in the first place. But before that, let's solve the threat of Obai first. Mind here, Crocodile did not hesitate, and the lower body was directly elementalized and turned into sand. And the upper body rushed directly towards Obai's position. Seeing this situation, not waiting for Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 to breathe a sigh of relief, they saw a strange smile on Obai's face in front of them. This made the two alarm bells in their hearts, but just when they wanted to retreat. Obai's speed is beyond their imagination. With a single thought, both hands suddenly turned into blades, and they stabbed at the chest of the two of them. Laugh. The sound of the blade cutting through the flesh sounded. Obai's hands pierced directly through the chests of these two guys. Blood oozed from the corners of their mouths, and Mr. 1's eyes filled with disbelief. How could you possibly have this ability? Hot blood dripped down Obai's palm. After landing on the sand on the ground, it quickly disappeared. Mr. 1 can clearly perceive. The life force within oneself is rapidly fading away. This guy Obai has pierced his chest. No matter how good the doctor is, there is no way to save him. But what really makes Mr. 1 unacceptable? It was Obai who used the paramesha ability to quickly cut fruit that he clearly possessed. How exactly did Obai do it? Mr. 1 did not get the answer to this question from Obai's eyes. You can only die with doubts that are destined to be unanswered. Boom, boom, two voices sounded. Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 both fell to the ground, completely lost signs of life. Seeing two corpses with pierced chests on the ground, the surrounding Baroque studio members felt an incomparably terrifying sense of oppression from Obai. Even if Obai's eyes just swept over them inadvertently, these guys also involuntarily backed up. There is no more eagerness like before. The idea of joining forces to kill Obai. These guys don't know what's going on. They just saw Obai stabbed his hands out lightly. The chests of Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 were easily pierced by him. The only thing they can rely on now. That leaves only Crocodile. At this time, Crocodile finally arrived late. Obviously he has already relied on the elementalization of sand fruit. Get here as fast as you can. But still a step too late. He can only watch his two most powerful men helplessly. It just died in Obai's hands. How can Crocodile endure this situation? Obai, I will definitely make you die very painful. The furious Crocodile raised the poisonous hook. Aiming at Obai in front of him, he smashed it down. Boom. Obai raised his eyebrows when he saw this. He raised his fist and collided with his poisonous hook. With a roar, a powerful wave centered on the location of the two. It quickly swept away in all directions. The surrounding sand was flying all over the sky, covering Obai and Crocodile. It's hard to see what's going on inside. Obai changed his opinion on Crocodile. This guy isn't a big deal, but he is a good person on his way to become stronger. First, selfless dedication to the ability of the members of the Baroque studio. Now he took the initiative to send him all his sand fruit abilities. How could this kind of person be such a big injustice? Obai found that he didn't just get the sand fruit ability from Crocodile. Observation hockey, armament hockey, have also been enhanced a bit. In this way, this guy Crocodile doesn't know hockey, but have been in Alabasta for too long and have forgotten how to use it. But these are not important anymore, because Crocodile will not be defeated by King Luffy this time. Instead, he will die under the sand fruit ability he possesses. Mind here, Obai looked at the Crocodile in front of him playfully. Crocodile sensed contempt and another inexplicable emotion in his eyes. This makes Crocodile very upset. Obai, I originally planned to draw you to my Baroque studio. After completing the purpose of Alabasta, I will take you to the New World to fight against those strong men. But since you don't give lousy face so much, you kill so many of my men one after another. Then your journey on the Grand Line ends here. Or, I'll give you one last chance. If you're willing to be my subordinate, I can let go of what you've done before. Although I really wanted to kill Obai directly. But Crocodile is also very clear. With Obai's strength, if I can successfully recruit it to my Baroque studio, then when you go to New World, in addition to Pluton, there is another powerful booster. After hearing Crocodile's words, Obai looked at the sand crocodile in front of him with great interest. Crocodile, what is it that gives you the illusion that you can make me your subordinate? Crocodile took a sharp puff on the cigar. The thick smoke from his mouth enveloped his face. Said faintly, I'm more curious than you. You're a newcomer to the Grand Line from West Blue, still not satisfied with the offer of 7 warlords of the sea. How dare you take the initiative to provoke? Where did your confidence come from? Crocodile, who has always been very proud. It's rare to say so much. The most fundamental reason is that Obai's strength has been recognized by him, compared to the already dead Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 and others. Obviously Obai is more valued by Crocodile. Perceiving Crocodile's thoughts, Obai just smiled and looked at him. Did not continue to talk too much. Crocodile frowned upon seeing this. His face also became extremely gloomy. So, you've rejected me again. Obai shook his head slightly. Stop talking nonsense, Crocodile. I told you from the beginning that I will not join your Baroque studio, because your Baroque studio is destined to perish in my hands. The voice fell. Obai has completely lost interest in talking nonsense with Crocodile. With a hard step under his feet, a deep pit appeared directly on the spot. And Obai himself, with the help of this power, towards the opposite Crocodile and quickly attacked. Unlike others, in Crocodile's eyes, although Obai's speed is indeed fast, it is not so fast that he can't react. Facing Obai's fist, Crocodile also raised the poisonous hook and banged against it. Boom! As the fist collided with the poison hook, a violent roar erupted. The aftermath of the battle between the two. Let the dust all around you fly. Members of the nearby Baroque studio felt the intensity of the aftermath. They retreated a little, for fear that one would accidentally be affected. Crocodile sneered at Obai in front of him. Since you don't intend to be my subordinate, then pay the price for the people you killed. I said, it will suck all the water in your body and let you die in pain. Crocodile raised his arms, with the blessing of its sand fruit ability. The right arm suddenly enlarged several times and turned into the shape of a full moon. Next moment, Crocodile with a gloomy face aimed at Obai in front of him and slashed it. Arc moon sand dunes. Laugh. The sound of the arc moon-shaped sand blade splitting the air came. In the face of Crocodile's offensive, Obai calmly raised his fist and smashed it. See his actions. A look of violence flashed in Crocodile's eyes. His attack is not only capable of slashing the enemy like a machete. After the sand blade touches the enemy, it will directly drain the water in the enemy's body in the shortest time. Even if this guy Obai is very good. But in the end, it's still a kid who has just stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue. The horror of Logia's abilities is not at all clear. However, at the moment when the arc moon-shaped sand blade collided with Obai's fist, Crocodile's pupils contracted instantly. An incredible look appeared in his eyes. Bang! Punch down! Crocodile's proud arc moon-shaped sand blade only lasted for a moment. He was directly smashed by Obai's fist and burst open. Looking at the scattered sand, Crocodile couldn't help exclaiming, Armament hockey! You just entered the Grand Line, and you already learned armament hockey. Crocodile put away his contempt for Obai. Originally, in his opinion, relying on Logia's ability. In front of Obai, he was already invincible. But now it seems, this guy Obai is more tricky than he imagined. After feeling the surprise of Crocodile, Obai couldn't help shaking his head secretly in his heart. It can only be said that this guy Crocodile spent too long in the first half of the Grand Line. It is no longer the sand crocodile who was bold enough to challenge Whitebeard directly. If you have to come to Alabasta to find something Pluton. Obai didn't even know what Crocodile was thinking. But, now that you have obtained the sand fruit ability from Crocodile, of course Obai won't waste any more time. After all, he still has a lot of goals to find in the future. Thinking of this, Obai's calm eyes suddenly became extremely fierce. That fist wrapped in armament hockey. Like a hurricane. Facing the crocodile in front of him, he smashed it wildly. Boom, boom, boom. The muffled sound continued, and the sand was flying, covering the figures of Obai and Crocodile. But whether it's Vivi and Miss Valentine, or the agents of the Baroque studio, have clearly realized, In this battle, it was Obai who was pressing Crocodile. Not that the 7 warlords of the sea are too weak. But compared to him, Obai is really too strong. Vivi clenched his fists excitedly. Her beautiful and delicate face even turned rosy from excitement. She sure did not believe the wrong person. With Obai, Crocodile can no longer destroy Alabasta. Miss Valentine on the side also breathed a sigh of relief. This former member of the Baroque studio, since his whole body has become the shape of Obai, of course hoped to see Obai beat Crocodile. Thus, you don't need to worry about Obai's safety anymore. As for those Baroque studio members around, after realizing that his boss is not Obai's opponent, they all looked at each other. Then he gritted his teeth. If the boss is defeated in his hands, Obai and the royal family of Alabasta will not let us go. If you don't want to die, then join forces to help the boss deal with Obai. Hear this. A group of Baroque studio agents hesitated for a moment before participating in this battle. Instead of just sitting there waiting to die, rather give it a try. If you lose, you will die anyway. If you win, everything will be fine. When they want to act, Vivi and Miss Valentine stood directly in front of these guys. You guys, just stay here honestly. Vivi and Miss Valentine will never allow them to deal with Obai. Although there are more trash fish, it will not affect Obai. But this at least proves that, not only can the two of them help Obai relieve stress in that regard, it can even help Obai in battle. Facing the obstruction of Vivi and Miss Valentine, the agents of these Baroque studios only hesitated for a moment. Even if you fight with them. After all, these guys know very well. His own life is now completely in Crocodile's hands. Only by helping Crocodile defeat Obai, only then can they live peacefully and enjoy more preferential treatment. After seeing what happened here, Crocodile's eyes were filled with strong murderous intent and bloodlust. Vivi, Miss Valentine, you two women, one is an undercover, one is a traitor. After solving the biggest trouble of Obai, Crocodile must settle accounts with them. Unfortunately, this account, Crocodile is destined to have no chance to settle with them. In the moment when Crocodile is distracted, Obai seized this opportunity precisely. Raising his fist, he aimed it at his head and smashed it down. Facing Obai's sudden attack, Crocodile responded at the last minute. He tried his best to raise the poisonous hook of his left hand in front of him, trying to block Obai's blow. However, when the fist hit the poison hook, Crocodile was horrified to discover this guy Obai didn't even use his full strength in the battle just now. Bang! Obai's terrifying power made Crocodile's body fly upside down uncontrollably. Not only did Obai not stop there, instead, he stomped hard and chased after Crocodile's flying direction. Crocodile raised the poisonous hook to get out of the predicament. Obai's magnetic fruit ability was activated, which directly made him unable to control his left hand with the poison hook. At the same time, the palm of the right hand used the ability to quickly cut fruit, and it suddenly turned into a sharp short sword. Armament hockey covers over the right hand. A fierce light flashed in Obai's eyes, and he aimed at Crocodile in front of him and slashed over. Laugh. The sound of the blade ripping flesh and blood sounded, and a terrifying scar with deep visible bone suddenly appeared on Crocodile's chest. In an instant, hot blood shot out from it. I felt the sharp pain in my chest. Crocodile was directly put on a mask of pain. He really didn't expect. Obai's strength is so strong. How long has this battle been going on? You were hit hard by Obai just a moment ago. Why is the poison hook in the left hand out of control? Also, why is his palm as sharp as a saber wrapped in armament hockey? What the hell is going on with this horse? Although his heart was full of anger, Crocodile's movements were not slow at all. Sand fruit ability activates. Quickly evacuate straight back. Crocodile gasped heavily. Obai's eyes were full of panic when he looked at the opposite. Unlike Crocodile's wrath, Obai raised his palm and looked at it, very satisfied with the ability he just got his hand. Have to say, with the cooperation of various abilities, often can play the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. This steady stream of bizarre means, it is simply not something that ordinary people can resist. Not to mention Obai's strength is stronger than Crocodile. Even if the strength is comparable, Crocodile will also be planted in Luobai's hands. Mind here. Luobai raised his chin and looked at Crocodile opposite. The 7 warlords of the sea don't need to worry about being killed by the plot anymore. After Wang Luffy came to Alabasta, Crocodile and Baroque Studios were destroyed. Mingming Luobai's eyes are very calm. But Crocodile felt boundless oppression from it. With his current serious injury, if he continues like this, I'm afraid that I will soon die at the hands of Luobai. Crocodile didn't want to die, he wanted to live. He hid in Alabasta for so many years, just to be able to return to the New World one day. I definitely don't want to die suddenly when I'm about to complete my goal. After seeing Luobai's actions, Crocodile spoke quickly. Wait a minute, Luobai. We didn't really have any conflicts before, did we? If you want me to leave Alabasta, I can take people away now. Hearing this, Luobai had an unpredictable smile on his face. This arrogant sand crocodile finally bowed his head in the face of death. Unfortunately, however, for Luobai, the moment Vivi gave her most precious thing, Crocodile was doomed. Luobai is not some unnamed One Piece. For the enemy, there will never be any soft-hearted. Luobai has no interest in talking nonsense with Crocodile. He stomped hard on his feet, and his body rushed towards Crocodile directly opposite. Seeing Luobai's actions, Crocodile's face became extremely ugly. Where the hell did Lousy mess with this guy? Just because I said before that I would suck him into a mummified corpse. Do you want to take revenge like this? No matter how unwilling Crocodile is, facing Luobai's attack, he could only resist with all his strength. With Luobai's fist hitting Crocodile continuously, the sand crocodile can clearly perceive. The fierce battle is accelerating the flow of vitality in his body. The terrifying scar on the chest is still gushing out blood. Can't go on like this. There was a flash of violence in Crocodile's eyes, and it disappeared completely in an instant. While resisting Luobai's fist, Crocodile said with a hard squeeze of an ugly smile. Stop, Luobai. Whatever that Princess Vivi gives you, I can give you double. Luobai's expression suddenly became strange when he heard this. He's about to clear Vivi's body soon. As a result, Crocodile said he was willing to pay double the price. A man, can you do such a thing? Even if you can do it, I don't have such a strong taste. In order for Crocodile to dispel this dangerous idea, Luobai said that he wanted to kill the opponent faster. Feeling Luobai's more aggressive offensive, Crocodile couldn't help crying in his heart. Isn't it? Can't get you. Vivi is just the princess of a country in the first half of the Grand Line. Could it be that what she can give is more than what she has as the 7 warlords of the sea? Facing the crisis of death, Crocodile finally fully understood. Compared with my own life, nothing else can compare. In this case, Crocodile gritted his teeth and finally gave in. Luobai, as long as you are willing to let me go, I can tell you the whereabouts of ancient weapon Pluton. The reason I've been at Alabasta for so many years is to get Pluton. Is this enough to show my sincerity? Crocodile said he was going crazy. After spending so many years, I have been nesting in places like Alabasta. It's hard to find the whereabouts of Pluton. As a result, he turned his head and was about to give it to Luobai. Where can he go to make sense of this horse? But Pluton was nothing compared to his life. Luobai glanced at Crocodile. Sure enough, this guy is still the familiar big grievance. He really thought that Pluton was hiding in Alabasta. It is a pity that the real location of Pluton is in the capital of 7 waters. The goal that Crocodile has worked towards for several years is a complete joke in itself. Luobai looked at each other with pity. Where's Pluton? Hearing this, Crocodile felt that Luobai was shaken. Even said, someone under me knows Pluton's whereabouts. Luobai nodded. So, what about your subordinate? Crocodile's breath suddenly stagnated when he heard the words, and he finally came to his senses. Since Luobai came here, Nico Robin has never appeared. Crocodile's pupils contracted, and his heart was suddenly shocked and angry. That woman, playing lousy. Luobai looked at Crocodile's reaction and shook his head slightly. From the beginning Luobai noticed that Robin was not here. Or, that O'Hara's last scholar, who never thought of working for Crocodile from beginning to end. While Crocodile was absent, Luobai didn't hesitate, and came straight to his heart. Laugh. The palm that turned into a blade pierced directly through Crocodile's chest. Under Crocodile's terrified gaze, Obai directly used the sand fruit ability he had just acquired and began to extract the water from his body. Crocodile said before that he would turn Obai into a mummified corpse. Obai has never held grudges, because he always avenged his grudges on the spot. Looking at the terrified Crocodile, Obai asked softly, "So, how painful is it to be drained of water from the body? What was it like to be killed by Obai with his own abilities?" Crocodile at this time has been unable to answer this question. Because of his vitality, it is accompanied by the rapid loss of water in the body. Crocodile's eyes seemed to pop out. His eyes were full of disbelief and horror. He couldn't figure it out. Why does Obai have the sand fruit ability? Crocodile has also been in the New World for many years. But I have never seen, or even heard of, such a strange method. 4. Why? Crocodile, who was at the end of his life, asked this question with the last of his strength. Unfortunately, however, his question was destined to remain unanswered. Crocodile, who has used sand fruit ability to suck countless enemies into mummified corpses over the years. In the end, he also became a part of the mummy. This sand crocodile is not the first to die under his own power. Of course, it won't be the last. After seeing Crocodile dead, the Baroque studio agents who were fighting Vivi and Miss Valentine glanced at each other. No prior communication is required at all. These guys all fled wildly around. Their boss is as vulnerable as a weak chicken in front of the monster Obai. Not to mention these guys. Seeing these guys act, Obai's mouth twitched slightly. Raise your hands, the magnetic fruit ability activates. The surrounding saber and long sword suddenly floated in the air. Under Obai's control, these sabers and long swords aimed directly at the fleeing agents and attacked at a rapid rate. Laugh. With the sound of breaking the air, one after another, the agents were pierced through their hearts and fell to the ground powerlessly, losing their signs of life. The stronger Baroque studios have long been dealt with. Obai raised his hand to kill these trash fish easily. The strength of the magnetic fruit's ability is far more powerful than that shown by Kid in the original plot. After seeing that all the enemies have been dealt with, Vivi and Miss Valentine both breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, Obai's strength, even more powerful than they imagined. At this time, the sky that had been scorched by the sun suddenly became gloomy, and dark clouds shrouded the sky. In the blink of an eye, the downpour completely covered the place. Alabasta, under the control of Crocodile. A country that hasn't rained for 3 full years. At this time, it seemed like he was going to vent frantically, and finally the long-lost rain fell. Feeling the rain falling on her face, Vivi suddenly burst into tears of joy. He threw himself into Obai's arms and said with a sob, "Thank you, Obai, really thank you. If it weren't for you, Alabasta would have been destroyed by Crocodile." Vivi is very clear. Under the control of the Baroque studio, countless people in Alabasta are already dissatisfied with the royal family. If this drought is allowed to continue, I'm afraid it won't be long before the war will appear in every place in Alabasta. It was Obai who saved Alabasta. Don't let Alabasta perish in Crocodile's ambitions. Miss Valentine on the side hesitated for a moment. He also took the initiative to give Obai a hug. The atmosphere is all set, and she can't let Vivi alone in Obai's arms, right? Obai hugged Vivi and Miss Valentine in a strange mood. Bad. Am I a good person? I'm really not a good person. But ideas are ideas. Obai wouldn't be stupid enough to interrupt the current atmosphere by saying these words. With Vivi's current mood, Obai is predictable that he will be able to clear all customs tonight. At this time, King of Alabasta, Cobra, Vivi's father, finally arrived late with the kingdom guard, seeing that his daughter and another woman were thrown into Obai's arms. This daughter's slave just feels a little bit hurt. The relationship between Vivi and Obai, Ecolem has reported to Cobra. And Cobra is also very clear. With Obai's character and strength, his woman is definitely not only Vivi. As for how much there will be, Cobra can hardly imagine. After discovering the arrival of his father, Vivi left Obai's arms with red eyes. And Cobra did not hesitate. He came to Obai, took a deep breath, and bowed deeply to him. Obai, thank you. No matter what, you have saved Alabasta, so that the people here will never have to face droughts and wars. From today, Alabasta will be your most reliable friend whenever you need it. Hearing this, Obai said with an elegant and decent smile on his face. You are welcome. Vivi is my woman and I will not allow anyone to hurt Vivi. Obai's words left Cobra speechless. Vivi was very moved by this. She was still worried. In Obai's mind, their relationship is just a transaction. But now it seems, is Obai really moved to himself? Obai just wanted to say, what you said to the grass is right, but who are you not? Obviously, Vivi is the former, so what she thinks is right. To say something that makes a woman tempted. Obai, who was a Poseidon in his previous life, was naturally a professional. If it wasn't for him still holding Miss Valentine in one hand, that Cobra might also be moved by Obai. Holding Miss Valentine, saying words that make Vivi tempted. This kind of operation, Cobra is also a little overwhelmed. But his Baroque studio just collapsed. The crisis in Alabasta has been largely lifted. He, the king, had other things to do. Cobra wasted no time either. Let Vivi take Obai to the palace first. He himself brought people to negotiate with those rebels. The idlers have already left. Vivi will not continue to hide his inner thoughts. Once again, I throw my arms towards Obai. Looking at Obai with watery eyes, he said. Obai, you just finished the Crocodile and Baroque studios, you must be tired too. How about we go back to the palace to rest first? Seeing the shyness on Vivi's face, Obai said with a chuckle in her ear. If you are willing to treat me personally, then of course I will not refuse. 2 days. 2 full days. Obai, Vivi, and Miss Valentine just show up occasionally. Have a meal with Cobra. Then go straight back to the bedroom. Vivi and Miss Valentine are very clear. Obai will never stay in Alabasta no matter what. And Vivi, as the only heir of the Alabasta royal family, she also needs to be responsible for this country. You can't leave on your own will. And Miss Valentine, after a brief hesitation and tangle, also chose to stay in Alabasta. With her strength, she was enough to protect herself in the first half of the Grand Line. But if you enter the New World, that will definitely be a burden to Obai. Not wanting to be a burden, she decided to actually open a cafe in Alabasta. It was precisely because he knew that he would part with Obai. They will be frantically squeezing Obai for 2 full days. With their performance in the past 2 days, I can't believe Obai will forget about them after leaving. Vivi sat up with Miss Valentine. Look at Obai who is smoking an afterlife cigarette by the window. Obai, are you leaving? Obai showed them a gentle smile, but said something that made them very reluctant. Yes. Vivi looked at Miss Valentine. You can clearly see the sad look in each other's eyes. After this period of time, they have all sunk into Obai's charm. If you can, of course, they hope to stay by Obai's side forever. It's just a pity. People like Obai. It is impossible to stand still because of 2 women. Because, on the way ahead, there are more people waiting for him to conquer. Of course, if both parties know this well, there's no need to say it to spoil the atmosphere. As a woman, as long as the other party admires you, if you don't take the initiative to say it, the other party will deceive yourself. In other words, it is the same mentality as some people do when they are licking dogs. Of course, the one being licked now is Obai. Obai smiled at Vivi and Miss Valentine. It's also a good thing for you to leave, isn't it? Continue to stay here, are you sure your body can handle it? Hearing this, Vivi and Miss Valentine flushed instantly. At the same time, Obai gave Obai an angry look. Although it is true, is it necessary to say so directly? Seeing their reactions, Obai smiled and did not continue driving. Since coming to this world an activating cheat, the promotion Obai has received is in various senses. In this regard, even if Vivi teamed up with Miss Valentine, they were no match for Obai at all. Obai stood up and looked at them and said with a smile. Get up, we should go out too. When Vivi and Miss Valentine were just getting ready to go out, suddenly a maid knocked on the door and said, Princess Vivi, someone said to see Lord Obai. Hearing this, Vivi glanced at Obai curiously. Obai couldn't help but raise his brows. Straight out of the bedroom first. At a glance, I saw the child of the devil with an explosive body and wheat-colored complexion standing beside the maid, Nico Robin. After seeing that it was Robin who came to Obai, Vivi on both sides exclaimed at the same time as Miss Valentine. Miss, all Sunday, why are you here? Didn't you run away before? Vivi and Miss Valentine are eyeing Robin. If there is a disagreement, there will be a big fight. Inside the Baroque studio, Nico Robin's status is very high. Robin had already expected their reaction, she just said with a smile. The Baroque studio has been destroyed, so don't mention that name again. I'd rather you call me by my name than that, Nico Robin. The vigilance in Vivi's heart has not been dispelled. Instead, he looked at her defensively and asked, "What's your purpose? If you have any more dangerous thoughts, I don't mind calling someone to arrest you now." Robin didn't panic because of this. Instead, he looked at Vivi with a chuckle and said, "Princess Vivi, as you know, I've never helped Crocodile to harm Alabasta. Vivi certainly knows this. Otherwise, the first time I saw Robin, I asked someone from the Kingdom Guard to arrest Robin." Robin smiled and turned his eyes from Vivi to Obai. Looking at Obai sincerely, he said, "The reason why I risked coming to the palace is actually to seek refuge with Obai." The voice fell. Vivi looked at Miss Valentine. They could clearly see the suspicious and strange look in the other's eyes. Taking refuge in Obai. If it is not clear that Obai has never been in contact with Robin, then I'm afraid they will all wonder if there is any special relationship between the two. Even if it doesn't matter now. Wait until Obai really accepts Robin's refuge. Sooner or later, this kind of thing cannot be avoided. After all, no one can know Obai's charm better than these two women who have been friends with Obai. Robin didn't care what was on their minds. Just smiling and looking at Obai. And Obai felt Robin's gaze. Pushing the gold wire glasses on the bridge of his nose, he chuckled softly. "Follow me. What do you think you can do for me?" Robin said it bluntly. "I'm a survivor of O'Hara and can help you decipher the text of history. The reason Crocodile came to Alabasta is for the historical text here. Robin has been in hiding all these years, dodging the capture of Marine and the world government. It is precisely because of this. Robin has always wanted to find a strong support. And Obai, the guy who killed Crocodile easily. Naturally, that's what Robin found." Obai smiled and shook his head. "Sounds good, but unfortunately, I have no interest in the historical text." Robin was stunned, and glanced at Obai suspiciously. In this world, are there any pirates who are not interested in the text of history? Robin didn't intend to give up, bit his lip and asked, "Then what do you want?" Obai's mouth twitched slightly, looked at her with a smile and said, Obai's goal itself is very clear. While making yourself more powerful, also get such a big crystal palace. They have all come to the world of One Piece. Also activated his own system. As long as Obai is not stupid, he can easily become the top powerhouse in this world. In this case, then why don't you let yourself live as you wish and be free? Even regarding this point, Obai has not concealed it from beginning to end. But after hearing Obai's words, what does Robin mean by not responding for a while? But after feeling Obai's gaze, Robin involuntarily took 2 steps back. Robin was a little overwhelmed by this. Although she has joined many pirate groups over the years. But most people want to use her, the Devil's Son, for the bounty. Or like Crocodile, use her knowledge to decipher the text of history. Even if someone wants to plot against Robin. But the final end is either being played around by Robin, or be killed by her ability. Like Obai, who doesn't hide it in the slightest. A person with a very pure purpose. It's really the first time I've seen Robin. Robin looked at Obai tentatively and asked, "Are you joking?" Obai looked at Robin playfully. "What do you think?" Now Robin has completely determined Obai's purpose. Where is the good guy who saved Alabasta like what Cobra has been promoting in the past 2 days? It looks elegant and decent on the surface. In fact, his true appearance is simply a downright gentle scum. Robin looked at Vivi and Miss Valentine standing on both sides of Obai. It was found that the two of them did not express any opinion on this at all. Even they seem to be happy to see this happen. What is happening? As Obai's woman, they don't even mind Obai hooking up with them in front of them. It's not that Robin hasn't seen someone hugging from side to side. But such a showy operation like Obai. It's really the first time I've seen her. It's really up. What Robin doesn't know is, for Vivi and Miss Valentine, they really don't mind this happening now. After all, they knew from the beginning what kind of character Obai was. In this case, they all gave Obai a hug. If you're tangled up in this kind of thing now, isn't it too late? They don't think they can change Obai's mind either. On the contrary, if you really dismiss Obai's face in front of other people, that will only make Obai change his mind about them. And most importantly, with Obai's powerful fighting power, based on the two of them alone, they are really not Obai's opponents. So what else is there to say? Since you can't refuse, then enjoy it with peace of mind. Robin looked at Obai and smiled bitterly. If I want to leave now, is it too late? Obai repeated what he just said. What do you think? They are all brought to the door on their own initiative, but can they let her run away? Maybe someone else will do this. But this situation can never happen to Obai. Robin, who got Obai's exact answer, sighed inwardly. I really didn't know that I chose to rely on Obai. Exactly is not correct. However, even if Obai agreed, Robin also didn't want to give his most precious things to each other right now. Thinking of this, Robin took a deep breath. Looking at Obai firmly, he said, I can promise you this condition. However, I also have one condition. That is, I won't give it to you until you get a real sense of security. If you know me, you should know what kind of life I used to live. Security is very important to me. If you don't agree, then I can only commit suicide now. Hearing what Robin said, Obai actually didn't feel any surprise. It is undeniable. Robin, who carries O'Hara's only hope, really wants to live. But for her, of course there are more important things than living. At least, dignity is more important than life. Robin stared at Obai intently. Whenever he wants to force his behavior, he can commit suicide at the first time. However, under Robin's gaze, she clearly saw a gentle smile on Obai's face. There seemed to be a distressed look in his eyes. Don't worry, I won't force you until you choose to take the initiative. From Obai's soft voice, Robin heard his sincerity. This made Robin's inner softness hit. In order not to reveal it, Robin pursed his lips tightly and turned slightly. Seeing the change of expression on Robin's face, Obai could roughly guess what she was thinking. Obai can only say that intellectuals, like Robin, living in fear since childhood. Every day I worry about whether I will be betrayed. Will someone from Marine or the world government arrest me? Sometimes it really just takes a few short sentences. Even more extreme, even if it's just a look, an action. There is a chance to hit each other's heart. This has been deeply demonstrated in the original plot. Only this time, it is no longer possible for the Straw Hats to make Robin return to his heart completely. But he Obai, a gentle scum. As for what Robin thinks is tender, distressed, soft. Well, that's right to understand. After all, Obai is always like this in front of any beautiful woman. At least, it has never failed so far. Obai also never thought about forcing Robin from beginning to end. With his attractive appearance and his unfavorable pulling method, let the other party take the initiative to throw a hug. Isn't it simple? From the moment Robin came to the palace and said he wanted to take refuge in Obai, the road to her fall has already begun. For a person like Robin, a complete heart will mean that the whole heart will belong to Obai. By that time, this scholar of O'Hara, she will even use all her means to help Obai defeat others. Obai waved his hand to interrupt Robin's moving and said, Okay, in fact, you came just in time. It's time for us to leave Alabasta too. Robin has no problem with this. She has read the historical text of Alabasta and deciphered the content above. Obai wants to leave, and Robin will not refuse. And Vivi and Miss Valentine didn't hold back either. It was just a tearful expression that Obai must not forget himself. In the future, after Alabasta is completely stabilized, they will find a chance to go to the New World to find Obai. Obai did not continue to stay in Alabasta. As he said, inside the Grand Line and New World, there are still many abilities that Obai needs to acquire. There are also many people who need Obai to conquer. Some things always have the same experience in different people. After discovering that Obai did not have to force his own thoughts, Robin has completely relaxed. On deck chairs lined up side by side. More Robin's figure. Enjoy the sunbathing and the occasional sea breeze. Robin let out a long sigh of relief. Obai, you should know that in my capacity, it will bring you a lot of trouble, right? Marine and the world government have never given up on arresting me. Obai lay lazily on the chaise longue. I didn't even open my eyes. Just relying on the ability of the magnetic fruit to control the forward of the ship. It is worth mentioning that this boat was specially built by Alabasta to thank Obai. No need for extra staff. The direction can be controlled only by Obai's magnetic fruit ability. In this way, unnecessary trouble is avoided. As for Robin's question, Obai said casually, "You are mine now, and no one can bully you except me." Robin, who was secretly delighted in his heart, pouted his lips. She knows now. This guy Obai's mouth is really good. If it goes on like this, who can stand it? However, when Robin was thinking about it in his heart, Obai said something that made Robin's calm unbearable. "Robin, I actually advise you to stop basking in the sun like this. Or, let me put some sunscreen on you." Robin stood up with a squeak. "Are you wearing sunscreen? I'm too embarrassed to say your thoughts." Although Robin has been on the run for many years, she has never been taken advantage of. Even if you have accepted Obai's condition. But before really recognizing Obai, she would never do such a thing. However, Robin also accepted Obai's suggestion. "If you can, who doesn't want to have a fairer complexion? I didn't have the time and energy to deal with this before. Now with Obai to rely on. Of course Robin doesn't mind being a little more refined. About this, Obai will definitely be very happy to see." A few days after Obai and Robin left Alabasta, a group of pirates also arrived late and quietly set foot on Alabasta's territory. Didn't it say that Alabasta hasn't rained for 3 years? What's the situation now? Monkey D. Luffy wearing a straw hat looked puzzled. Even the members of the straw hats beside him were a little puzzled. With the news they got along the way, Alabasta should still be experiencing drought right now. Why is it raining? Moreover, looking at the people here, there is absolutely no worry about drought and war. This question from the straw hats was answered in a tavern. Listening to the tavern owner gushing about how Mr. Obai rescued Alabasta, Luffy pouted in disappointment. "Well, I was thinking of letting me fly Crocodile, but I didn't expect to be robbed." Nami on the side smashed Luffy's forehead with a punch, and said fiercely, "That's 7 warlords of the sea, Luffy. Can you not be so confident?" Chopper, who is also a timid trio, nods wildly with Usopp. "If you can." They also didn't want to face a dangerous character like 7 warlords of the sea. Luffy is still very disappointed about this, but soon recovered. Ask the tavern owner directly for food. At this moment, a mocking voice sounded. "Luffy, you haven't changed at all, kid." Hearing this, Luffy turned his head in confusion. I found a figure with a naked upper body and a string of beads around his neck looking at him with a smile. After a brief slack, Luffy flew directly onto him and rode directly on this guy's neck. "Ace, why are you here?" Ace broke free from Luffy's shackles and breathed a long sigh of relief. "I was almost suffocated by you. I'm here just to find you." Luffy was very surprised by this. But Ace ignored the excited Luffy. Instead, he turned his head and thanked Nami, Zoro and others for taking care of their incompetent younger brother. After learning that Ace is the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, Nami, Zoro and others were also a little surprised. After all, that Whitebeard is known as the strongest man in the world. After the greeting, Ace didn't waste time either. Instead, he handed his life card to Luffy and said goodbye to them directly. "I came here to meet Luffy just by the way." Ace left the Whitebeard Pirates this time. The real purpose is to capture Teach and bring the traitor who killed his companion back to the Moby Dick. What they don't know is this distinction. When we meet again next time, but it is on the execution platform of Naval Headquarters. Chapter 11. Before Ace left Alabasta, Smoker and Tashigi are still the same as in the original story, with the sailors chasing the Straw Hat Pirates to Alabasta. It is also because of the arrival of Smoker. Let the Straw Hat group who originally wanted to stay in Alabasta for 2 days just choose to run. The current Straw Hats are no match for Smoker. When the Straw Hats faced Smoker's smoke fruit ability, there is no way to deal with it. Ace saw Luffy run away with his crew. He stayed behind to block Smoker and the others. Luffy didn't hesitate, and immediately led people to run. Anyway, he still holds Ace's life card in his hand. It will be easier to find Ace in the future. It is worth mentioning that the Straw Hat Pirates did not pay for their consumption in the tavern, and the owner of the tavern looked at Ace and Smoker, who were confronting each other in the store, and he was about to cry without tears. Who did he provoke? It's fine if these guys don't pay after eating and drinking. Are you still destroying your own shop? But even if the tavern owner is dissatisfied with them, now I don't even dare to say anything to stop it. After all, whether it's Colonel Marine Smoker or Fire Fist Ace, captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, it's not something that a small tavern owner can offend. With a cigar in his mouth, Smoker stared at the opposite Ace. Fire Fist Ace, why do you come to Alabasta if you don't stay in New World? Ace picked up his hat with his index finger, grinning at Smoker. Why do I have to report to you in advance when I come to Alabasta? Smoker snorted without answering. He just stepped on his feet hard and charged directly towards Ace. Raise the weapon made of sea stone in your hand, aim it at Ace and stab it. Ace shook his head helplessly and muttered to himself. By this time, that kid Luffy should have run far away. If that's the case, let's make a quick decision. I don't have so much time to waste on you. Ace's eyes suddenly froze, and the index and middle fingers of both hands came together. Aim at the Smoker to fire a small flame. Musket. Clap, clap, clap. Smoker swung his weapon to crush the flames he shot. Although it didn't deal any damage to Smoker, but in the end, it still held him back. Ace looked at him and said with a grin, "Goodbye." The next moment, under Smoker's gaze, Ace suddenly began to elementalize. The flame it transformed into ran wildly in the distance. Shish, Smoker is not actually Ace's opponent at all. But Ace's goal this time is very clear. Just want to capture that teach back. In that case, why bother with Marine? Add some trouble to your own actions. Smoker wanted to catch up, but he had no choice but to give up after realizing that his speed was not as good as the opponent's. He is really suspicious now. What kind of background does that kid named Luffy have? First in Rog Town, when he was about to execute him, he was rescued by the Revolutionary Army leader Drago. Now even the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, Fire Fist Ace, is helping him. Why doesn't this guy just have someone in Marine supporting him? At this time, Tashigi also returned here with the sailors with a disappointed face. Looking at Smoker in dismay, he said, "Colonel Smoker, fail, let the Straw Hat Pirates escape again." Smoker just nodded slightly. When Fire Fist Ace helped the Straw Hats, Smoker was ready to let them escape again. This kind of strong background that people support wherever he goes. A mere Colonel Marine would be difficult to deal with. Seeing that Smoker doesn't blame himself, Tashigi also quickly adjusted. Watching Smoker sighed, "Colonel Smoker, I heard from Alabasta people that Crocodile and Baroque Studios have been destroyed by that pirate named Obai. I remember, Obai just entered the Grand Line from West Blue not long ago, right?" Smoker nodded and said solemnly, "I heard someone from West Blue mention Obai. According to those Marines at West Blue, Obai's strength is unfathomable. No one knows how much he has hidden in addition to his displayed strength." Tashigi blinked at the words. However, watching him save Alabasta, will Obai be a good person? Smoker gave her a frown at this. Pirates are pirates. Where are some good people? After being reprimanded, Tashigi felt a little aggrieved. But no matter what, Obai saved Alabasta. For the people of Alabasta, Obai is their hero. As for these Marines, they are not respected by the people of Alabasta at all. Let the Crocodile spoil for so many years in Alabasta. Marine didn't deal with that guy either. What's the use of such a Marine? Tashigi's curiosity about Obai not only did not dispel. Instead, it became more intense. Obai, a pirate, acted to save Alabasta. What does such a person really look like? Obai, who Tashigi wanted to explore in his heart. Shortly after their encounter with the Straw Hats in Alabasta. At this time, he was rushing into the air with Robin. Obai's goal is Sky Island. It is worth mentioning that, in Alabasta, Obai already got the ability to miss Valentine. And after Robin chose to rely on himself, Obai also let Robin give him a punch. Although Robin is very puzzled about this, but he still slapped him obediently. Although, this punch is as soft as flirting. Now see that under Obai's control. The boat under my feet became so light that it seemed to have no weight at all. Under the impact of upwelling currents, the light as a feather ship rose rapidly into the air. Robin finally woke up suddenly. Looking at Obai with astonishment, he exclaimed, Obai, are you using the light lion fruit ability? Robin was really surprised. She had never heard of it. Someone can have multiple devil fruit abilities at the same time. According to the sayings that have been circulated in this world for countless years, it is absolutely impossible for anyone to have two devil fruit abilities at the same time. Once someone does this, the only fate is to explode and die. But how is it now? Obai broke this curse of devil fruit. Obai looked at Robin with his mouth open, carefully observing the size. Seriously speaking, at Robin's scale, it's a bit difficult to fully accommodate the baguette. However, with Obai's personal guidance, it's not really a big deal. Robin didn't know that Obai's thoughts drifted to this kind of thing. She just took Obai's acquiescence to her own problem. Robin took a deep breath to calm down the turbulent emotions, looked at Obai strangely and asked, So, the punch you asked me to hit you before was also to gain my ability to be able to pass Ohara's doctoral exam at the age of 8. Become the youngest scholar in the history of Ohara. Robin's IQ is of course very superior. After seeing Obai use his light lion fruit ability, combined with Obai's weird behavior of letting himself punch him before, Robin quickly figured this out. After a brief thought, Robin looked at Obai and asked tentatively, Obai, from this perspective, your first devil fruit ability was clone. As long as you are attacked by the enemy, you can copy the opponent's devil fruit ability. Robin said. The final tone became very confident. She finally understands something now. Why is Obai's strength far surpassing those in the Baroque studio? But he didn't kill those guys directly. Instead, you have to play a few tricks with the opponent first and then kill the opponent. It's not that Obai is soft-hearted and keeps his hand. It's because Obai wants to gain the ability of the other party. Hearing this, Obai couldn't help raising his eyebrows. Can guess the truth through clues, even if the truth is wrong. But it's been very good. After all, no one would have thought that Obai is not relying on devil fruit, which can replicate the opponent's abilities, but his unique cheat. I have to say that it is really comfortable to get along with smart people. No need for nonsense at all. The other person will be able to realize your intentions. Of course, this premise is that your own IQ is also superior enough. Otherwise, the only end is to be played by all kinds of tricks. The corners of Obai's mouth twitched slightly, and he said with a smile, If you want to understand it that way, there's no problem. However, Obai copied more than just the enemy's devil fruit ability. Whether it is hockey, taiju, or swordsmanship, etc. As long as the other party has it, Obai can get it. To sum it up in a few words, that can be shortened to, bring it to you. Robin sat back on the reclining chair, looked at Obai and sighed. If this ability of yours is exposed, it will surely cause the whole world to shake. This terrifying ability that can replicate the enemy's ability, I'm afraid no one wants it to exist. Obai nodded in agreement. Precisely because of knowing this, Obai didn't activate cheat and then he was stunned. Instead, he played steadily for a year at West Blue. Until you have accumulated enough strength to protect yourself. I finally stepped into the Grand Line. And the results are obvious. Characters like Crocodile. In Obai's eyes, the only function is to provide him with the devil fruit ability. At this time, Robin suddenly stood up and walked in front of Obai. Looking up at Obai slightly, his eyes kept flashing and he said, I finally understand something now. Why did you face the encirclement and suppression of Marine and the world government after knowing that you would accept me, but you were not moved at all? So, I am dispensable to you, right? Seeing Robin take the initiative to come to him, Obai didn't hesitate. He used his index finger to lift her chin directly. With a gentle smile on his face, he said with a light smile, because I can empathize with your experience of hiding in Tibet all these years. So, you are not dispensable, or in other words, I feel sorry for the hardships you have suffered over the years. But from the moment you become mine, you don't need to worry anymore. Robin pursed his lips, preventing Obai from seeing his trembling. After being strong for so many years, Robin is not used to revealing his weakness. At this time, the boat under their feet finally successfully reached Sky Island. Obai looked at Robin and said with a chuckle, get used to it, the future life is very beautiful. For Obai, this kind of words that moved a woman when she heard it was simply at your fingertips. Even after all these years of hiding in Tibet and all kinds of betrayals, Robin's heart is almost cold, and it is very difficult to warm it up again. But after hearing Obai's words, Robin is still inevitably moved. Even almost couldn't help but take the initiative to throw a hug. Give Obai the condition that promised Obai now. It's not that Robin is too easily moved, but Obai's incomparably handsome face with a gentle and loving smile on it. The words in his mouth made Robin almost cry. Robin, who has experienced so many things. Naturally, I can tell whether Obai is sincere when he says this. The sense of security that Robin had been dreaming of was finally felt in Obai. It is because of this. She is so impressed. But Robin was Robin after all, so he calmed down quickly. Even if you really want to sacrifice yourself. Definitely not now. But well, there's nothing wrong with letting Obai take advantage. Just by what Obai said before. As long as Obai doesn't make the last step, Robin will not refuse. It is precisely because of this idea of Robin. Obai took Robin in his arms while steering the boat to Apayado, the island of gods. The reason why he came to Sky Island. One of the biggest reasons is to get the thunder fruit ability of the self-proclaimed god Enel. Even within the entire Logia capability, the strength of thunder fruit's ability can also definitely be ranked in the forefront. At least, compared to Crocodile's sand fruit ability. Completely crushed. In the original plot, Enel didn't lose to Wong Luffy. Instead, he lost to his protagonist Halo. And the Paramesha rubber fruit, which has been shouting for more than 10 years, turned into Zone Nika fruit in the end. Why can the treadmill use the properties of rubber to resist Enel's lightning? I don't know Enel who went to the moon in the original plot. How will you feel when you know this? But this time Enel doesn't need to worry about losing under the aura of King Luffy's protagonist. Because, before the arrival of the Straw Hat Pirates, Obai will get rid of Enel. Just as Obai took Robin to Apahado. Obai only felt an invisible force sweeping over their position. After feeling this power, the corners of Obai's mouth twitched slightly, and he chuckled softly. Do you still want to use this kind of trick to be shameful? Obai can clearly perceive, with his own voice falling. There was a very obvious setback in this force. Then he rushed towards Obai's body frantically, trying to probe his heart. This power is naturally the heart network developed by that Enel guy. It is undeniable, with the help of Thunder Fruit's ability. Enel's heart network does have an extraordinary effect. But for Obai, this method is really not enough. Want to sense his inner thoughts with observation hockey? Do you really think he was kidding you during his year at West Blue? After discovering that my heart network is of no use, Enel abandoned this approach, and Robin didn't realize what was going on at all. I was just a little confused after seeing Obai's reaction. What's wrong, Obai? Obai didn't answer, just chuckled and looked forward. Seeing this, Robin followed Obai's gaze and looked over. It was astonishingly discovered that several figures were rapidly attacking their location. Are these people the residents of Sky Island? Looking at the wings behind these people, Robin expressed some novelty. She has seen countless races over the years, but like the residents of Sky Island with pure white wings behind them, Robin was really seeing it for the first time. For Enel, Anyone on Sky Island who cannot be probed by his heart network is an unstable factor. And encounter unstable factors, of course, to get rid of. Obviously, these Sky Island priests were sent by Enel to deal with Obai. Only, Enel took him for the Straw Hats. Do you really think that just a few priests can kill him? Don't even wait for these aggressive priests to do something to him. Obai's eyes suddenly froze. Raise your right hand to activate the magnetic fruit ability. Under Obai's control, the weapons in the hands of these guys are instantly out of their control. Under the horrified gaze of these priests, their weapons turned their targets and pointed at them. The next moment, Obai waved his hand. These long swords and long spears stabbed directly at their original masters. Laugh. The sound of breaking the air sounded, and under the blessing of the magnetic fruit ability, these weapons all contain incomparably terrifying power. It's too late for these guys to react. These long swords and long spears directly pierced the chests of the priests. Boom, boom, boom. The priests fell from the sky below, and the original white clouds were soaked in the blood of these guys into a terrifying blood red. And after discovering that these priests were dead, frightened, Enel directly used Thunder Fruit ability to quickly come to Obai's location. Enel raised his trident and pointed at Obai on the opposite boat and roared. Qinghai people, how dare you disrespect this god? Qinghai people in Enel's mouth. Naturally, the people in the Grand Line. In the hearts of Sky Island residents. They are very different from the people in the Grand Line below. And for Enel, a self-proclaimed god, this prejudice has deepened countless times. Enel can't understand, just a guy who came to Sky Island from Qinghai. How did he have the guts to attack his priests? Doesn't he know that God cannot be challenged? Enel was very angry, and even scolded Obai angrily. Dare to act disrespectful to God, you will face punishment from God. Hear this. Robin's face suddenly became very strange. She looked curiously at Enel on the opposite side. Then he looked at Obai and asked, Obai, are all the residents of Sky Island like this? They're all so arrogant. Robin thought about it, and finally chose to use arrogance to describe Enel. In fact, I don't know what it means to look at the sky from the well. Obviously more appropriate, the powerful ability of Thunder Fruit, and the right to be high over the years. Let Enel have been unable to recognize himself. I always feel that everyone must bow and kneel when facing his god. Obai looked at Enel opposite with a calm expression. Shaking his head slightly, he has never seen a real strong man. That's why I thought I was the god who could control everything. Why can Enel's heart network control the entire Sky Island? In addition to his observation hockey aided by Thunder Fruit abilities. In addition to the special effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. In the final analysis, it is because the overall strength of Sky Island is too weak. Say nothing else. If Enel goes to Naval Headquarters, or try Wanokuni and Wangwo, Katarina can predict the future observation hockey in advance. Not stronger than Enel's heart web. Isn't he still one of the 3 generals of the Big Mom pirate group? Where is this guy like Enel? Inflated to the point where he has regarded himself as a true god. Robin nodded in agreement with Obai's words. She also felt that the truth of the matter was just like what Obai said. Enel, the god of Sky Island, has too little knowledge. Obai and Robin are talking like no one else. Enel was instantly furious. Shish. Enel raised his trident and pointed at Obai, scolding him angrily. Stupid Qinghai people, a mere human, dare to offend the god like this. Enel is really annoyed now. Originally eating fruit and singing songs in Apayado. However, after Shinkson noticed that a stranger had entered Sky Island, just want to use his powerful hard net to enter Obai's heart. See what the hell this guy is up to. As a result, after trying it, Enel found that I am very dependent on myself, and I have always been unfavorable in the past. In front of Obai, this human being can't even play the slightest role. This made Enel have a bad feeling in his heart. After realizing this, Enel was very upset. When even the priests were sent to deal with this guy. But those priests haven't even come to Obai. It was manipulated by Obai in some strange way. Killed themselves with their own weapons. After seeing the situation, Enel was instantly shocked. Now he not only wants to kill Obai, the guy who provokes him, I want to get Obai's weird ability. Thus, combined with the power that you can control thunder and lightning, your god will become even more powerful. Mind here, holding a trident, Enel looked at Obai and said solemnly. Human, hand over that weird ability you just used. As long as you hand it over obediently, this god will make your death less painful. But if you don't have fun, then your end will be very tragic. Hearing this, Obai's mouth twitched slightly. He looked at Enel on the opposite side with interest. I really didn't expect it. This guy Enel will have the same idea as himself. Knew it. The power of the magnetic fruit has made this god greedy. Obai moved his fingers slightly. The long sword and long spear that fell into the clouds just now floated into the air. Under Obai's control, these long swords and spears danced wildly in the air. Is that what you said? Seeing the strange scene in front of you. Not only did Enel not panic at all, but a greedy look flashed in his eyes. Enel is indeed very proud. But that doesn't mean he's so stupid that he doesn't understand anything. On the contrary, he is very clear. If you master this kind of power, what kind of prestige and promotion will it bring to you? Either way, be sure to get it. Enel straightened his face, and a blue-purple light flashed in his eyes. Looking at Obai said, Human, hand over this ability of yours. Hear this. Obai's mouth twitched slightly. Fingers suddenly pointed to Enel. The next moment, those floating swords and spears seemed to have suddenly found their targets. Aim at the location of Enel and quickly attack. Shish. Seeing this situation, Enel's pupils shrank instantly. Seeing these swords and spears attacking me, Enel couldn't help but be startled. At the same time, he was puzzled and angry. This guy who came to Sky Island from below. What's the basis for that? Make him dare to take the lead when facing him. Since this guy doesn't know whether to live or die, then let him feel the pain first. Get this weird ability from him again. Mind here, Enel's eyes suddenly froze, and he raised his trident and swung it forward. Shish. With Enel's actions, blue-purple lightning flashes on the trident in his hand. Under the control of Enel, several thunders fell from the sky. It slashed directly on the long swords and spears that were attacking towards their location. Crackling. There was a roar, but it didn't stop the weapons from attacking Enel. Under Enel's unbelievable gaze, the sound of the tip of the sword and the tip of the spear piercing the air came. Laugh. Seeing that the target of these long swords and spears is his own head, Enel did not hesitate. He directly raised the trident in his hand and stabbed it out. Boom, boom, boom. There are bursts of noise. Even if Enel can block the attacks of these weapons controlled by Obai's magnetic fruit ability. But under Obai's control, they kept attacking him. This is so annoying to Enel. Human beings, since you are courting death, then this god will fulfill you. The voice fell. Enel is full of dazzling thunder. A loud crackling sound came from him constantly. Enel raised his right arm, which turned into thunder, and raised it high. The next moment, this thunderbolt rose directly into the air. Enel stared at Obai, who was facing him. Seeing that he didn't mean to escape at all, a cruel light suddenly appeared in his eyes. Go to hell, human beings. God's punishment, accompanied by Enel's roar, an incomparably thick thunder instantly fell from the sky. The target is Obai standing on the bow. Seeing this situation, not only did Obai not panic at all, instead, he couldn't help but twitch his lips, and a strange smile appeared on his face. I just came to Sky Island just now. Enel took the initiative to send Thunder Fruit over. What is this called? This is called a thunderbolt thanks to Enel's old iron. Obai didn't dodge, but stepped on his feet slightly and took the initiative to meet the thunder that fell from the sky. Seeing Obai's actions, Enel couldn't help but sneer. It's really courting death. In Enel's eyes, Obai's behavior is no different from sending him to death. It's just a pity that his ability to control the enemy's weapons. It seems that he is destined to not get it. No big deal though. As long as there is a network of hearts and the power to control the thunder, then he will always be the only god of Sky Island. Under Enel's gaze, Obai, who was in the air, suddenly punched the thunder. Boom! A violent roar suddenly resounded through the sky. A terrifying wave swept away in an instant. The clouds nearby were blown away by this powerful aftermath. Seeing that Obai was not destroyed in his own thunder, Instead, it smashed the thunder into pieces with one punch. The confident Enel almost glared his eyes out. This is impossible. How can a mere human being be able to stop God's punishment? Not to mention Obai ignored Enel's exclamation. Even Robin, who was still standing on the boat, gave Enel a strange look. Next, I am afraid that Enel will see something even more unacceptable to him. After all, based on Robin's guess about Obai's ability to replicate. Once the opponent's attack touches Obai, he can copy the opponent's ability. This kind of weird and terrifying method must not make Enel, who thinks he is a god, drop his jaw. It turns out that thunder fruit is really powerful. Whether it's speed, destructive power, or a variety of uses. In Logia, thunder fruit definitely belongs to the top group. It's just a pity that Enel has been nesting in Sky Island. I have never seen a real strong man. After becoming the god ruling Sky Island, this guy stopped. Put all your thoughts on the Research Hard Network. It is undeniable that Enel's hard network does have its own uniqueness. But the moment he tried to kill Obai with a thunderbolt. His thunder fruit ability and observation hockey belong to Obai. Your ability is good, but the next second is mine. The smile on Obai's face made Enel very upset. The Sky Island god was thoroughly enraged by Obai. For the current Enel, it doesn't matter whether you can get that eccentric ability from Obai. What he has to do now is to kill this Qinghai native directly. Mind here, Enel raised the golden trident in his hand and pointed directly at Obai in the air. CC. Thunder wrapped around the trident in Enel's hand. The next moment, it blasted directly towards Obai's location. However, Obai's response made Enel instantly unable to hold back. Obai's index and middle fingers are close together. It also points to the location of Enel. With Obai's eyes condensed, a thunderbolt shot directly from his fingers. Two thunderbolts collided in the air. A terrifying roar erupted. The pure white and flawless clouds below were dyed blue by these two thunders. At this time, Enel looked terrified, and his eyes were full of disbelief. He could not have imagined. Just a blink of an eye. Obai, just like himself, can control the thunder. Isn't this the ability that is unique to you as a god? Why is this happening? And most importantly, Enel can clearly perceive it. In this thunderous confrontation, instead, he fell into a disadvantage. Opposite Obai, who controls thunder, even seems to be more skilled than him. What the hell is going on with this horse? Under Enel's gaze, the two thunderbolts that collided in the air burst open. This scene is as beautiful as gorgeous fireworks, with bursts of sparks falling into the clouds below. Really enjoying this beauty, there was only Robin standing on the boat. Robin is very clear. The moment Obai successfully obtained Enel's thunder fruit ability, the end of the Sky Island god is doomed, based on the cruel words he just said in front of Obai. If you don't let Enel feel the despair, that's not Obai's style. What she needs to do, after Obai solved Enel, take a good tour on this Sky Island. After all, there are not many people who can come to this Sky Island, even in the whole world. But Robin has also made a decision. After this trip to Sky Island is over, to improve your strength as much as possible. Robin is very clear. With Obai's ability, as well as his character and style of conduct. After entering the new world, they will definitely need to face the powerhouses standing at the top of the new world. Even if she can't help Obai in that level of battle, at least make sure that you don't become Obai's burden. Robin doesn't want to be a vase that only babbles. At the same time, the thunder that shot from Obai's finger continued to strike at Enel's location without any signs of weakness. Enel gritted his teeth and didn't dodge. He wants to experience it for himself. What kind of power does the thunder that Obai created? The next moment, this thunder fell directly on Enel. Clap. Feel the intensity of the thunder that falls on you. Enel was really taken aback. Although for his thunder fruit ability, with the intensity of this thunder, it can't do any damage to him. But Enel really can't figure it out. Why does Obai also have this kind of means? How can there be two gods in the world at the same time? No matter how Obai got this ability, since the moment he showed this power, Enel has already made up his mind. No matter what the price is, this guy must be killed. Enel raised the trident in his hand and turned it around a few times, then pointed directly at Obai, who was facing him, and said solemnly, "Human, I have to say that your strength is indeed beyond the expectations of this god. But even so, in front of this god, death is your only ending. Be conscious, I have to get serious and stop playing with you." Enel wanted to use a dry seriousness to try to forcibly save his respect. But after hearing this, Robin couldn't help but laugh out loud. PFF, it's really ignorant and fearless. Robin really admires people like Enel. People like him, fortunately, have never left Sky Island. Otherwise, I'm afraid that after he enters the Grand Line, after meeting those real powerhouses, even confidence will be completely shattered. However, now Enel is going to play against Obai. In fact, it is bound to happen. Robin's laughter made Enel's chest instantly fill with anger. The trident strikes on the drum carried on the back. A thunderbolt hit Robin directly. Robin crossed his hands when he saw this, and when he wanted to use the flower fruit ability to resist Enel's attack. It's not that Robin can't escape. She was just worried that if she chose to avoid, will it cause the ships under my feet to be damaged by this thunder? However, at this moment, another thunderbolt directly took the lead to block Enel's attack. Under Enel's gaze, Obai's hands overlapped slightly, and a long sword of thunder entwined with blue-violet light suddenly appeared in his hands. There is no need to specifically look for weapons, which can be regarded as an advantage of Logia ability. Obai's eyes suddenly froze when he looked at Enel opposite. A flash of lightning appeared directly above Enel's head. The thunder sword in his hand aimed at Enel's neck and slashed it down. At the moment when Obai's figure disappeared, an ominous premonition emerged in Enel's heart. His speed advantage as a thunder fruit ability user. Let Enel put the trident in front of him at the last moment. Boom! A violent roar resounded through the sky. The terrifying power on the thunder sword let Enel's body fly upside down uncontrollably. Just a face-to-face. Enel has fallen into an absolute disadvantage. Seeing this situation, Robin just wanted to say something about this. Seriously, I thought how strong it was, but it turned out to be this. Obai's offensive did not end because of Enel's loss. Looking at Enel, who flew out backwards, a blue-purple light flashed in Obai's eyes. The thunder fruit ability activates. In the direction of Enel, he quickly chased after him. The thunder sword dances in his hand, constantly slashing or stabbing the Enel in front of him. Facing Obai's incomparably fierce offensive, Enel is simply shocked and angry. There was even a trace of panic in the depths of his heart. Obai's strength, it has completely exceeded his expectations. The power possessed by the Qinghai people, maybe it's not something he, the god of Sky Island, can resist at all. However, Enel did not give up on this. Instead, he raised the trident in his hand to resist Obai's attack. The tinkling sounded. The battle between Obai and Enel has reached a fever pitch. The battle between these two thunder fruit abilities. It seemed that the whole sky was plunged into a brilliant blue-purple light. But this kind of scenery is destined to be enjoyed by only Robin alone. Under Robin's gaze, Obai accurately caught a flaw in Enel. The thunder sword in his hand stabbed Enel fiercely. Enel, who could not avoid it, was stabbed. A penetrating wound appeared directly on Enel's shoulder. Laugh, with the sound of the blade cutting through flesh and blood. Severe pain came. Let Enel's mouth let out a painful moan involuntarily. Hi, ow, in order to avoid being chased by Obai and causing more damage. Enel's thunder fruit ability activates. Use his fastest speed to retreat a little. Shish, Enel gasped violently, looking at Obai, who was facing him. His eyes were already full of fear. Contempt from the beginning. Until now, after being traumatized, I dare not have the slightest carelessness. The ghost knows how Enel is feeling right now. Why does a mere human being have more power than this god? Enel can't understand this. Just stop worrying. Do not want to die in the hands of Obai. Continue to enjoy the words of the god of Sky Island. Then there can be no reservations. Enel raised his trident and slammed it on the drum he was carrying behind his back. Boom! A dull voice sounded. Under the control of Enel, a thunderbird suddenly condensed in front of him. Enel's action didn't end there. The trident struck again on the other side. A thunder wolf made of thunder and lightning came out. 30 million volts Thunderbird, 30 million volts Thunder Beast. Looking at these two Thunder Beasts, Enel took a deep breath. The two of them don't give Enel enough security. In this case, Enel banged on the drum on both shoulders. Boom. 60 million volts Thunder Dragon. With the sound of these two voices, a Thunder Dragon slowly condensed from behind Enel. A dazzling blue light flashed on the Thunder Dragon. Thunderbird, Thunder Beast, and Thunder Dragon stared at Obai on the opposite side, yelling at him. Hey, ow, roar. Seeing this, Enel let out a sigh of relief. With the trident in his hand pointing directly at Obai on the opposite side, growled horribly, tear up that fool for me. With an order from Enel, the three Thunder Beasts created by him with Thunder Fruit's ability quickly attacked Obai's location. Looking at these three Thunder Beasts that seemed to be vying to bite themselves, not only did Obai not panic at all, instead, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Obai stretched out his hands, a flash of lightning flashed in his eyes. Is it bigger? I've never really lost in this regard. For a time, Obai's whole body was entangled by lightning, making a crackling sound. Under the control of Obai, these thunderbolts converged into a giant dragon in the blink of an eye. Enel's idea of making Thunder Dragon with thunder is really good. Obai doesn't mind taking it and using it. But the Thunder Dragon created by Obai is even bigger than the three of Enel's combined. The power contained in it is obviously not comparable to those three Thunder Beasts. This is not surprising, even if Obai got the Thunder Fruit ability for a very short time. But know that Obai cheats ability, after being attacked, will get all the others' abilities. All these abilities already include the skills developed by the other party. Coupled with Obai's strength far beyond Enel, it is only natural for this to happen. Facing the three Thunder Beasts attacking him, this Thunder Dragon seems to be provoked by a lower-ranked person as a superior. Roaring at them, they took the initiative to greet them. The speed of Thunder Dragon is completely beyond Enel's imagination. Even if he had the intention to let the three Thunder Beasts dodge, it's too late now. I can only watch the three Thunder Beasts I created collide with the Thunder Dragon created by Obai. Boom, accompanied by a fierce roar of toothache. The three Thunder Beasts let out a groan almost at the same time. Under the bite of the Thunder Dragon, the three Thunder Beasts swallowed them in the blink of an eye. Next moment, Thunder Dragon looked at Enel, who was holding a trident, roared at him, and charged directly at his location. Seeing this Thunder Dragon roaring towards him, Enel is really panicking now. Obviously he is the real Thunder Fruit capable person. As a result, in the application of Thunder Fruit's ability. But he was hung up and beaten by Obai. Is this guy really human? He's a total monster, right? The brainstorm unfolds. Enel did not dare to take it lightly. He could clearly feel what kind of terrifying power this Thunder Dragon contained. Unlike the thunderbolt shot by Obai before, if you resist this Thunder Dragon yourself, even if you don't die, you will definitely be hit hard. Originally, he was at an absolute disadvantage in this battle. If you are hit hard at this time, that would almost directly declare him the death of the Sky Island god. Mind here, Enel never hesitated again. Yangtian roared, and countless thick thunders began to emerge from the body. Under the control of Enel, the power of these thunders was fed back into his body again. It made Enel's body suddenly magnified countless times. Thunder is wrapped around his body, and his eyes are even more blue, making Enel the image of the god of thunder. 200 million volts Thor. Facing the Thunder Dragon roaring towards him, Enel in Thor state did not choose to avoid. Instead, he took the initiative to move towards this Thunder Dragon and greeted it. In the roar of the Thunder Dragon, and the roar of Enel in the state of Thor, the two collided with each other. Boom! A violent roar sounded, and the blue-purple thunder light made the whole sky fall into an extremely gorgeous color. The surrounding clouds were set off by the terrifying aftermath of the Thunder Dragon's collision with Enel. This aftermath quickly swept away toward the surroundings. Seeing that the ship under my feet will be swept away, Robin immediately crossed his hands and activated the flower fruit ability. Countless palms are connected together, clinging to the surrounding buildings tightly, preventing the ship from leaving here. Even if you didn't help Obai in the battle, Robin will never allow himself to cause trouble to Obai. It is undeniable. Enel did develop thunder fruit to a certain extent. After entering the state of Thor, Enel's combat power has received a huge boost. Even the thunder dragon created by Obai, in front of Enel in its current state, it did not take any advantage. Even, completely suppressed by Enel. This made Enel very excited, thinking that he finally had hope of winning. However, in the corner of the eye, he saw a scene that made his heart split. I saw Obai stretched out his arms, and there were also countless thunderbolts gathered on him. The same steps as before Enel entered the state of Thor. Obai also absorbed the power of these thunders into his body. For a moment, lightning and thunder, blue light filled the entire sky. And Obai, who also entered the state of Thor, the body is also much taller than Enel. In this case, after seeing Enel create 3 thunder beasts just now, Obai immediately created a bigger brontosaurus, no difference. Enel couldn't hold back when he saw Obai's current appearance. Under a distraction, the thunder dragon that was originally suppressed by Enel directly attacked and bit it. Pushed Enel back a long way. Enel stared at Obai with his blue eyes. The mouth kept growling, "You human, don't you have your own means? Why do you have to imitate this god? You despicable imitator, this god must kill you with his own hands." Enel is going crazy. It's okay for Obai to imitate his various moves. But when he used these moves, he was even more powerful than when he used it. Where does this riding on a horse make him reason? Seeing that Enel has lost his mind, the corner of Obai's mouth raised slightly in the state of Thor, his right hand was slightly raised, and a huge thunder sword appeared directly in his hand. At the same time, the thunder dragon that successfully pushed back Enel just now has obediently arrived at Obai's feet. It looks like he wants to be a mount and help Obai fight. Seeing this situation, Enel wanted to scold on the spot. When he faced a thunder dragon, it was very difficult. Now add a Obai who is much stronger than him. What is this horse racing? Is he qualified to fight Obai like this? Unfortunately, Obai did not intend to stop there. Whoever does anything must bear the consequences of the response. And Enel's high just now. There is also a price to pay. Obai has never been the kind of character who can spit at himself after being insulted. It is Obai's consistent style of behavior to repay virtue with virtue and report complaints with directness. With the cooperation of Thunder Dragon, Obai, who was in Thor's state, instantly gained an overwhelming advantage. In front of Obai, Enel has fallen into a precarious situation. If it continues like this, I'm afraid it won't be long before he really will die at the hands of Obai. While Obai was beating Enel furiously, the residents of Sky Island have come here unconsciously. Seeing the self-proclaimed god Enel who has ruled Sky Island since a few years ago being beaten by Obai in the same way, the original residents of these Sky Island were stunned. They never thought this will happen to Enel one day. But the next moment, the scene that made them even more terrifying suddenly appeared. Obai caught a flaw in the impatient Enel. Under the blessing of the speed of the Thunder Dragon, the thunder sword in his hand slid across his neck. Laugh, I have a sword, see blood seal my throat. Ho, ho, ho. Enel covered his neck and looked at Obai in front of him as if he wanted to stare out his eyes. An unconscious growl came out of his mouth. Blood was still uncontrollably gushing out from the gaps between his fingers. Blood spilled in the clouds below. Dip the white and flawless clouds into an eerie blood red. Enel can clearly perceive, the life force in my body is passing by rapidly. It never occurred to him. Just a weak human being in his eyes. He was able to end the god who ruled the entire Sky Island. There was no chance for him to escape at all. Obai killed the god of Sky Island very neatly. After all, letting the enemy run away was never something Obai would do. Enel's Thor state is spontaneously released. The god of Sky Island, his body fell from the sky. And Obai also returned to the original appearance. With a random wave of his hand, the Thunder Dragon disappeared without a trace. The biggest purpose of coming to Sky Island has been achieved. After seeing Enel fall into the clouds and lose all signs of life, the residents of Sky Island in the distance fell into an extremely eerie silence. After a while, the crowd finally burst into a loud cheering and shouting. Enel is dead. Enel was killed. We are finally free. Great. This is really great. Quote. Under Enel's rule, the residents of these Sky Island live in fear all day long. For fear that someone accidentally provokes this god. Then it will be punished by the gods. I didn't even dare to be dissatisfied with Enel at all. After all, Enel's hard network has no effect in front of Obai. But the residents of these Sky Island are not strong enough to resist his heart. Hearing the cheers of these Sky Island residents, Robin's face suddenly became very strange. She hesitated to look at Obai, who returned to the boat and came to her side. In the end, he couldn't help but speak. Obai, do you think there will be a situation like Alabasta? In the end, in the eyes of these people in Sky Island, you also became their hero. Hearing this, Obai couldn't help being stunned. What Robin said makes sense. Maybe his purpose is just to get Enel's thunder fruit ability. Even after killing Enel, it's just because the other party provoked him. But for these Sky Island people, Obai who killed Enel, no matter what his purpose was. That is to save the people of Sky Island who live in dire straits. Feeling the teasing look on Robin's face, Obai glanced at her and said lightly, I heard that there is a piece of historical text on Sky Island. If you're not interested, we can just leave now. Hearing this, Robin grabbed Obai's arm directly. He smiled pleasantly. Don't be like this, Obai. You know, it's still very important for me to interpret the historical text. Obai just looked at Robin with a smile. Unfortunately, it's of no use to me. However, if you come to beg me, maybe I'll change my mind. Robin rolled his eyes when he heard this. Then he blinked, pointed to his lips, and asked in a soft voice. Obai, can you fit a baguette with the size of my mouth? Hearing that, Obai's breathing was a little heavy. He hugged Robin and said in his ear. Is it possible? We'll find out after a try. In fact, even if Robin didn't take the initiative to plead, Obai would not choose to leave Sky Island directly. After all, Sky Island also has an alias, that is, the Golden Land. There is gold here, but even Obai doesn't want to miss it. As in the original story, after Enel's death, Gonfaur, the previous ruler of the Kingdom of Gods, once again regained his master's power. Ganfor also thanked Obai very much, directly saying that Obai can always enjoy the treatment and rights beyond him in Sky Island. As Robin said, Obai, who killed Enel, really became a hero in the eyes of the residents of Sky Island. No matter what Obai's request is, these guys are impossible to refuse. Obai was also not polite, and even asked directly for the gold on this Sky Island. For the residents of Sky Island, gold doesn't really matter. Now that Lord Obai has spoken, of course he has to be satisfied with everything. Under the command of Gonfaur, the people of Sky Island carried all the gold they knew to Lord Obai's ship. It is worth mentioning that the gold was refined again by Obai with thunder fruit. It has also been made into a shape that is more convenient to carry. Also, since Robin's attention was drawn to the historical text, Obai's evil fire must naturally be vented by others. For the girls of Sky Island, if they can serve Lord Obai, it is a lucky thing. Enjoyed a few days comfortably at Sky Island. After Robin interprets the historical text, Obai finally took her back to the Voyage. On the decks of ships that are falling, Robin looked at Obai with a smile and teased. How about Obai? These days should be very comfortable, right? Facing her ridicule, Obai chose to take the initiative. It doesn't matter. You promised me something before, and now is the time to do it. Robin gave Obai a charming glance, but in the end he squatted down obediently. She has long since subconsciously assumed her identity as a Obai woman. After Robin's busy work, their ship also successfully landed on the shore of Magic Valley Town. Looking at the people running around in Magic Valley Town, Robin asked suspiciously, what happened here? Obai sensed a scene through observation hockey, and was also a little surprised. Fire Fist Ace and Blackbeard Teach met in Magic Valley Town. For Ace, this time I left the Whitebeard Pirates to meet Luffy. Send your own life card to him. The most important thing is to kill Teach, a companion. The guy who betrayed the Whitebeard Pirates was arrested. It is precisely because of this. After Alabasta parted with Luffy, Ace directly followed the place where Teach appeared. Finally blocked Teach in this Magic Valley Town. And Luffy, who was supposed to meet Teach for the first time here, but because of the change of Alabasta. As a result, the Straw Hat Pirates stayed in other places for a while longer. This is what happened now. Fire Fist Ace, captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, and Blackbeard Teach. Let the residents of this Gaia Island flee, for fear of being accidentally affected. Bew. Van Oka's bullet precisely hit Ace crouching on the roof. Unfortunately, the bullet did not cause any damage to him. Instead, it passed directly through its body. Ace, leaning on the brim of his hat, grinned at Teach. Your partner, there's a rude guy here. Ace stood up, the index and middle fingers of both hands close together, aiming directly at Van Oka below. Musket. The bullets condensed from the flames were aimed at Van Oka below and shot quickly. Hey. Van Oka quickly evaded with a sniper rifle in his hand. When Ace kept firing flaming bullets at him, Ace suddenly noticed something different. Turning his head to look, he found that it was Teach's fighting champion Badgers. This guy is holding up a house destroyed by Teach's dark fruit. Aim at the location of Ace and smash it. Ace did not hesitate to see this. As soon as he thought, he waved his left hand, and a flame gathered directly under his feet into a circle. Flame ring pillar of fire. With Ace's voice falling, a huge pillar of fire rose directly into the sky. In an instant, the house that Badgers threw over was completely blasted from the middle to the fracture. Bang! The flames and the planks scatter everywhere. Show the power of Ace's blow. Seeing this, Teach directly reprimanded Van Oka and Badgers. However, at this time, a voice suddenly came from behind him, and the fiery red light made Teach turn around abruptly. Turning around, Teach suddenly found a pillar of fire so hot that the surrounding air distorted. It is rushing towards the position where it is. Fire punch. Teach could only watch Ace's fire fist fall on him. Avoid past opportunities. It has been wasted when he reprimanded Van Oka and Badgers. Bang. Ow. Hot. As the fire fist fell on Teach, the guy couldn't help but howl. Just listen to his cries. You can feel the pain he is going through. However, Ace heard the mourning echoing in his ears. His face suddenly became a little weird. With the strength of this guy Teach. But it was only his own fire fist. Is it necessary to be so pompous? Teach, who still had flames attached to his body, immediately began to roll on the ground. Use this special way to put out the flames on yourself. Teach, who successfully extinguished the flames, lay on the ground and gasped deeply. Ace's damage to Teach. It will make him feel double the pain. It is precisely because of this. Teach is so pompous under the scorching flames. Of course, even though Teach is a very flamboyant person himself. After a series of battles, Ace finally sensed something was wrong. With his Mara fruit ability, when he touched the black mist emanating from Teach's dark fruit, it was as if he had completely lost his due strength, and he would never accept his control again. In front of the dark fruit ability, as if Mara fruit was completely useless. In this situation, Ace simply cannot accept it. Teach, who was covered with a strange black mist, opened his arms. He laughed wildly at Ace. How about Ace? Did you see it? The era of Whitebeard is over. Would you like to join my pirate group and become my partner? With your help, I can definitely become the Pirate King. Teach continued with a fiery look in his eyes. If you agree, we'll catch the Straw Hat Boy next. It's a gift to the world government. Hearing this, Ace's pupils shrank instantly. No longer interested in talking nonsense with Teach. Ace stared at Teach opposite, holding a giant great fireball in his hand. Emperor Yan. Seeing Ace in action, Teach also gave up trying to convince him. Compared with the Straw Hat Boy, it seems that the value of Ace will be higher. Thinking of this, Teach laughed wildly. Is the sun stronger or the darkness stronger? Only one can win. The voice fell, and Teach and Ace rushed towards each other at the same time. The flames and darkness collided, eroding each other. Unfortunately, Teach has hidden strength for decades. After all, it is not something that Ace can compete with. The losing side is still Fire Fist Ace in the end. Just when Teach waved his hand to let his subordinates bind him with the shackles made by Seastone, Obai's teasing voice suddenly sounded. Looks like we came at the right time. Pat. Pat. With the sound of footsteps, Teach and his men, and Ace lying on the ground with bloodline on his face involuntarily turned his eyes to the person who came. After seeing the two figures, Teach raised his brows and grinned, revealing his missing teeth. Thief, ha 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 ha, Obai, and the devil's son Nico Robin. Why are you two here? Hearing this, Obai glanced at Robin next to him and smiled. Robin, it looks like we've been targeted. Robin just gave a helpless smile. The other party can say the identities of the two of them in one go. A lot of questions have already been explained. Teach didn't seem to have expected Obai's reaction, and immediately said, "You don't know yet. Now your names Obai and Nico Robin are very loud. After all, Marine and the world government are searching for your location. In this way, if I arrest you all and hand them over to the world government, will it make the world government trust me more?" When it came to the end, Teach couldn't even help but get excited. Kill Crocodile in Obai. After the news of leaving Alabasta with Nico Robin came out, the world government has been eyeing this newcomer who only stepped into the Grand Line from West Blue not long ago. For world government, no matter what havoc Crocodile did in Alabasta, Obai dared to attack the 7 warlords of the sea recognized by the world government. He even took away Nico Robin, the son of the devil who was regarded as a thorn in the side by the world government. That Obai is provoking the majesty of the world government. This kind of behavior is absolutely unacceptable to the world government. It is precisely because of this, Obai's bounty has been raised to 420 million Baileys. It can even be said that it almost doubled. And Robin's bounty has also increased from 80 million to 100 million. This level of bounty, for pirates who have not yet entered the New World, simply a dream. But for Teach, what he values most is not the bounty at all. Instead, exchange Obai and Robin for the trust of the world government. Teach looked at Obai and grinned. "I am so lucky today. Ace was caught first, and now the two of you took the initiative to send it to the door." Hearing this, Obai looked at Teach opposite with interest. So confident, a succession of good things have come, making you a little unclear about reality. In Obai's view, Teach is indeed a pirate in the true sense. To get dark fruit, willing to hide in the Whitebeard pirates for decades. During this period, in order not to reveal his own purpose. Just willing to be an ordinary crew member. After seeing dark fruit, it is even more willing to kill the partners who have been with each other for decades. Now it is more to use Ace's life to achieve his goal of acquiring the shock fruit ability. As long as someone gets in Teach's way, then he will kill the opponent without hesitation. Kill decisively, without mercy. I have to say that Obai appreciates Teach's behavior. Since I chose to be a pirate, then of course you should do what pirates should do. As for the behavior of being a fool and setting up a Torii, the guy who said he was thinking about this world, Obai doesn't like it at all. It's just a pity. After Obai came to this world, the purpose of this guy Teach is destined to be impossible to achieve. Because Obai has already set his sights on his dark fruit ability. At this time, Teach seemed to suddenly think, with Obai's ability to easily kill Crocodile, it seems like a good candidate. Teach looked at Obai and said, "Obai, I can give you a chance. As long as you are willing to join my Blackbeard pirates, I will protect you. I have a way to get the world government to stop its actions against you." Hear this, Ace, who was embarrassed on the ground, sneered suddenly. "Teach, are you the only one who dares to fight against the world government? A guy like you is qualified to let the world government compromise." Teach looked down at Ace, whose face was covered in bloodline, and teased. "Ace, you think One Piece's son is compared to Obai and the others? Who does the world government want more?" The voice fell. Ace's pupils shrank instantly. He had already realized what Teach was thinking. Immediately he yelled at him. "Teach, you bloody fool. If you still have dignity, just kill me now." Ace knows very well that if he falls into the hands of the world government, in the style of Marine and the world government guys, he will never kill himself easily. Even, like the guy back then, publicly executed by Marine. And this behavior, it will definitely cause the Whitebeard pirates to go to war with them. If this does happen, then he would be better off dead. After all, if you think about it with your butt, you will know that countless people will die in this war. Mind here, Ace, who knew that he had no chance to escape, even wanted to commit suicide. Seeing this, Teach stepped directly on Ace's chest. Bang! Teach laughed wildly with great pride. Ace, you can't die now. Then he ignored Ace, turned his head to look at Obai and asked. How about Obai? My condition should be sincere, right? Obai nodded. Really sincere. It's just a pity that I refuse. I would rather kill your Blackbeard pirates than join your Blackbeard pirates. Killed the Blackbeard pirates? Where did Obai have the courage to say such a thing? This guy doesn't really think he killed the weakest crocodile in the 7 warlords of the sea. Are you qualified to challenge the Blackbeard pirates? I didn't even see the captain of the 2nd division of the Whitebeard pirates. Fire Fist Ace has been stepped on by Teach. Teach couldn't help but burst into laughter after a brief stunned moment. Thief, ha 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 ha. Obai, no matter what your strength is, at least you have enough courage. I'll give you one last chance. Join, or die. Without waiting for Obai to speak, Ace, who was stepped on by Teach, shouted at him. Brother Obai, hurry up and run. Teach is not something you can handle. If you can you help me and tell my father that no matter what happens next, don't come and save me. Bang. With Ace's voice falling, Teach stomped hard on Ace's chest. The intense pain made Ace's face contort. Teach lowered his head and looked at Ace playfully. Can't you be honest, Ace? Don't you know that if you do this, it will only make you more miserable? After threatening Ace, Teach looked up at Obai and grinned. Now it's your turn to make a choice. Obai, you should be a smart person, right? After hearing what Teach said, Fanoka on the side raised his sniper rifle and aimed it at Obai's head. It means Obai's head will blossom if he disagrees with one word. Fighting champion Badgers collided with his fists and looked at Obai with a grin. Wearing a top hat and leaning on a cane, Lafitte was also staring at Obai with a half smile. The poisonous Q on the side is raised weakly, as if he didn't care at all whether Obai agreed to join the Blackbeard pirates. And Obai's face became very strange. Ace, that guy. Shouldn't he think of himself as the one who saved him? Then this misunderstanding is big. Feeling the threat of the Blackbeard pirates, Obai pushed the gold wire glasses on the bridge of his nose and said with a smile. I choose to let you die. Bang. With Obai's refusal, Fanoka pulled the trigger directly. The bullet shot from the sniper rifle in his hand towards Obai's head. Fanoka is very confident in his sniper skills. Unfortunately for Obai, who has the ability of magnetic fruit, this method will never have any effect on him. When the bullet entered about 5 meters away from Obai tapped his finger. The bullet stagnated in the air instantly. Under Obai's control, the bullet changes direction instantly. Aim at Fanoka and shoot it. Call out. Seeing this situation, Fanoka's pupils suddenly widened. Regardless of whether or not to continue to attack Obai, just lift the sniper rifle and quickly dodge. But the speed of this bullet is beyond Fanoka's imagination. The bullet flew past Fanoka's face. Fanoka reached out and touched it, and found that bloodline was stained on the palm of his hand. This filled the sniper's heart with horror. Obai's ability is too restrained for a sniper like him, right? One shot didn't hit Obai. On the contrary, he was scratched by a bullet. Before Fanoka calmed down, a voice ripped through the air. Under the control of Obai, the bullet shot towards Fanoka's head again. Fanoka's pupils contracted, and his eyes were full of horror. At the speed of this bullet, he could no longer dodge it, and could only watch the bullet shoot towards his head. At the last minute, Badgers, who was on the side, dragged Fanoka aside. Then he raised his fist and hit the bullet. Boom. A dull voice sounded. After all, the bullet was blocked by him. Although he saved Fanoka himself. But Badgers couldn't help sneering. You were really useless. It doesn't matter if you didn't kill Obai, but he almost killed him with your bullet. Captain, if this is happening to this guy, I don't have to save him, right? The last sentence is naturally to Teach. Not only did Teach not get angry after hearing it. Instead, he laughed. No problem at all. Our Blackbeard pirates never accept the weak. Badgers is very satisfied with this attitude of his captain. If snipers don't work as they should, on the contrary, if it becomes a drag, then why did the Blackbeard pirates want such a useless sniper? Fanoka's face was very gloomy, with the blood still flowing out of his face. Makes the sniper look very ferocious. The strength of holding the sniper rifle in his hand increased even more. That is, knowing that his sniping skills are ineffective in front of Obai. Otherwise, Van Oka had to shoot the guy. At this time, Teach in the back suddenly spoke up. Now, it's time to show your part. Kill Obai. Prove your worth. As Teach's voice fell, Badgers slammed his fists together. Lafitte also pulled out the saber from the cane. The two looked at each other. Be the first to attack Obai. If the Blackbeard pirates are the most similar to which pirate group in history? That should be the original Rocks pirate. Badgers, Lafitte, and Van Oka, these guys. The reason why I chose to join the Blackbeard pirates. Not because I was convinced by Teach. Purely because Teach is strong enough. Let them see hope and future in Teach. Just join the Blackbeard pirates. That power and power are things that are readily available. After all, with the particularity of Dark Fruit's ability. But they can deprive them of the Devil Fruit ability they fancy. Before reaching their respective goals. Of course they won't leave the Blackbeard pirates. And now the captain of his own has spoken. Want to stay in the Blackbeard pirates? You have to prove your worth. Obai's head is obviously the best proof. Seeing the actions of Badgers and Lafitte. Not waiting for Obai to start. Robin, who was standing beside him, directly crossed his hands. Second Flower Master. The flower fruit ability activates. Two palms suddenly grew from the backs of Badgers and Lafitte, who were galloping towards Obai's location. Under the control of Robin, the two palms behind their backs directly held their chins. Suddenly pull back hard. Crack. The sound of two bones staggering sounded. Realizing that something was wrong, Badgers and Lafitte reacted immediately. With their respective strengths, the two palms were pulled apart abruptly. Robin's idea of trying to get rid of them in this way has failed. But this still made them both vigilant. In order to avoid being attacked by Robin in this way in the next battle. Lafitte shouted without looking back. Van Oka, I'll leave this woman to you. Badgers also agreed. If you can't even deal with this woman, then just die. Hearing this, Van Oka's face turned ashen. Lousy's sniper rifle was indeed defeated by Obai's magnetic fruit ability. But do you really think Lousy is useless? The angry Van Oka directly raised the sniper rifle in his hand to aim at Robin. When you want to pull the trigger. However, Robin has taken precautions against this. The flower fruit ability activates. He directly raised the sniper rifle in his hand. Bang! With the trigger pulled, the bullet shot directly into the sky. Seeing this situation, Lafitte sneered and sneered. Sure enough, it's really useless. Badgers also snorted disdainfully. Don't worry about that trash. Kill Obai first. The two had already rushed in front of Obai. The swords and fists in their hands were aimed at Obai and they blasted over. See their movements. The corners of Obai's mouth twitched slightly, and a strange smile appeared on his face. He really didn't understand. How on earth is this guy confident enough to kill himself? It seems that he has done too little, and the deterrence is still not enough. However, this situation will soon change. Thinking of this, Obai's eyes suddenly condensed. Facing the attacks of these two guys, Obai not only did not evade. Instead, he stomped hard. Take the initiative to move towards them and greet them. The two fists were aimed at the heads of these two guys and slammed down. Boom, boom, accompanied by two dull voices. The bodies that Lafayette and Badgers were dashing forward uncontrollably flew out. Feeling the sharp pain in the head, the eyes of Lafitte and Badgers in the air were full of horror. How is this possible? How can this guy's strength and speed be so terrifying? Before the two of them wanted to understand the answer to this question, Obai appeared directly above their heads. Aiming at their heads with both feet, they stomped down hard. Seeing Obai's actions, Lafitte and Badgers tried their best to escape. Unfortunately, in terms of speed, they don't even have the qualifications to compare with Obai. In the end, all they could do, that is, put your arms in front of your face, trying to reduce the damage in this way. Boom! A loud bang came. The movement of Lafayette and Badgers flying upside down really stopped. However, it crashed to the ground. The ground was directly smashed into two huge deep pits by them. The dust covered their shadows. However, those present could clearly perceive that Lafayette and Badgers, already at a precarious juncture, The battle is over before it even begins. Looking at Luo Bai's slender figure, Teach couldn't help whispering, the strength of this guy Luo Bai is really surprising. After the dust in the sky gradually dissipated, Teach and other talents finally saw Lafayette and Badgers, who were lying in a deep pit. His arms were completely broken, and his chest was heaving violently. Even if they don't know medicine, but it can also be clearly noticed that these two guys are already in a state of exhaling more and less intake. Just a face-to-face, almost died at Luo Bai's feet. Just when Teach was about to say something, I saw Luo Bai moving the fingers of his right hand slightly. Lafitte's sword suddenly flew into the air, under the watchful eyes of everyone present. The saber was aimed at the necks of Lafitte and Badgers and swung over. Seeing myself about to lose my life, the two of them couldn't do anything at all. Can only watch this happen. Laugh. The sound of the blade cutting through the flesh sounded. The heads of these two Blackbeard members are directly separated from their bodies. Blood was filled with the deep pit beneath them. Treat the enemy. Luo Bai has never been soft-hearted. Arbitrary behavior is his usual style of behavior. This guy. How can he be so decisive? Seeing that Lafayette and Badgers died directly at the hands of Luo Bai. And Luo Bai still had that gentle smile on his face. Teach and Ace and others. Under Luo Bai's smile, he saw the bone-chilling coldness. As if in his eyes. Killing Lafayette and Badgers is like trampling two ants to death. Even Luo Bai's mood couldn't be wavered in the slightest. Fan Oka and Poison Q had a pupil earthquake. As a nominal partner, they are very aware of the strengths of Lafayette and Badgers. But in front of the monster Luo Bai, they have no power to fight back at all. Just a face-to-face. He died directly at the hands of Luo Bai. If they were the two snipers and the ship doctor, I'm afraid the time to die will be faster. Van Oka and Poison Q swallowed. Almost at the same time, he turned his attention to Teach. I want to see what decision my captain will make. Feel their gaze. Not only was Teach not angry at the deaths of Lafitte and Badgers. Instead, he couldn't help laughing. Thief, ha 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 ha. Luo Bai, your strength has been recognized by me. Join my Blackbeard pirates. As long as you join, then you are the deputy captain. When I become one piece, you will be under me alone. Teach's eyes are very hot. For the ambitious Teach. The importance of recruiting powerful subordinates. Second only to causing the war between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine through Ace. Get the shock fruit ability from this war again. And Luo Bai, obviously an excellent crew member. As for Lafayette and Badgers, those two guys are not good enough on their own. What does it have to do with his captain? Ace at Teach's feet seemed to be afraid that Luo Bai would agree. Shout out quickly. Luo Bai, don't trust Teach. How can this guy who can kill his friends for decades keep his promise? Bang. Annoyed Teach kicked Ace again. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and then coughed violently. Ace's eyes were full of unwillingness. Stepped on by this guy Teach. He can't even use the Mara fruit ability. Otherwise, he had already tried to escape. Luo Bai glanced at Teach helplessly. It seems that if I really want to kill you, you will believe that I will not join your Blackbeard pirates. The voice fell, without waiting for Teach to respond. Luo Bai hooked his fingers. The saber that cut off the heads of Lafitte and Badgers swiftly swept towards Teach's location. Shish, seeing this saber attacking me, Teach made a decision in an instant. With a ruthless footstep on Ace's chest. Hit this guy directly. Let him not take this opportunity to run away. Then he took the initiative to greet this saber. Teach is different from Ace. It didn't take long to know that he got the dark fruit ability. Before that, Teach only relies on physical skills. You can leave a few scars on the eyes of Shanks, who is the Four Emperors. Facing the sword controlled by Luo Bai's magnetic fruit ability, Teach raised his fist and slammed it down. Bang. A loud roar sounded. A strong wave centered on Teach's location. It quickly swept away toward the surroundings. Teach, who successfully blocked the sword, even wanted to make fun of Luo Bai. Just by means of this method. In front of him, it doesn't work. But Teach just raised his head. It was amazing to find that Luo Bai's figure had disappeared in place at some point. Realizing that something was wrong, Teach heard Van Oka screaming from behind. Captain, overhead. The first time Teach heard this, he wanted to raise his fist and hit the top of his head. It's just a pity. Obai moves faster than him. A kick in Teach's face. The terrifying power made Teach's body fly upside down uncontrollably. Ow! Feel the intense pain. Teach couldn't help but howl. You know, he suffered the pain he felt when attacked. But the others are double. However, this is just the beginning. Obai stomped hard, directly chase in the direction that Teach flew out. In the blink of an eye, he suddenly appeared above Teach. Obai's right leg was raised high. Under Teach's horrified gaze. Slashes like a battle axe. In a sharp cracking sound. It slammed heavily on Teach's chest. Boom! Teach's huge body crashed to the ground. The ground cracked instantly, and the dust in the sky covered his figure. However, everyone present could clearly hear the howl of ultimate pain from Teach. Ah! Obai. Obai's offensive did not intend to stop there. His eyes suddenly turned violent. Aim at the Teach in the deep pit below and fall down. Bang! At the last moment, Teach still forcibly endured the pain that seemed to tear him apart. He raised his hands to block Obai's blow. Teach began to emit a strange black mist, and his eyes were filled with strong murderous intent and bloodthirsty light. Obai, I promise, I will definitely kill you. What kind of monster is Obai? Why does he have such terrifying power? With a sniper rifle in his hand, a trace of unease appeared on Fanoka's face. When he saw Obai's feat, he forced his captain to such a state of embarrassment. This gave Vanoka an ominous premonition in his heart. As a sniper, Vanoka believes that his intuition is still very accurate. Perhaps, even Teach is not Obai's opponent. After realizing that this guess appeared in my heart, Vanoka couldn't help being startled, because he found that he did not seem to have any doubts about this idea. Even, looking at Obai's slender figure, the idea just got stronger. Mind here, Vanoka reminded the poisonous Q beside him. Poison Q, be ready to run at any time. With our captain's character, if things go wrong, he will never mind our lives. Hearing this, Poison Q couldn't help but glance at him. After discovering that Vanoka's face was not smiling, Poison Q quickly nodded to indicate that he understood. While they negotiated to run away at any time, Obai looked at the Teach below and kicked it backwards. Laugh. Teach's legs left 2 deep scratches on the ground. Until he pressed his hands hard on the ground. Only then did it stop the backward body. A thick and strange black mist emanated from Teach's body. Make this Blackbeard look terrifying. Thief, ha 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 ha. What a surprise, Obai. You, a guy who just came to the Grand Line from West Blue, has such a powerful force. Unfortunately, you are unwilling to join my Blackbeard pirates. In this case, your only end is to die in my hands. In the end, Teach's eyes suddenly filled with violence. Teach opened his arms and let the black mist behind him flutter freely. Looking at Obai, he laughed wildly. You know Obai. I endured decades in the Whitebeard Pirates in order to get the Dark Fruit ability. Now, let you feel the horror of Dark Fruit's ability. However, what surprised Teach was that the opposite Obai not only did not panic at all. Instead, there was a strange, unpredictable smile on his face. Obai felt the extra power in his body and nodded in satisfaction. I have to say is, to make this guy Teach willingly hide in the Whitebeard Pirates for decades. The powerful ability of Dark Fruit. It really deserves his sacrifice. It's just a pity Teach used the Dark Fruit ability that took decades to acquire. Obai just kicked him. Get it in your hands perfectly. This kind of gap, if Teach knows, will he be unable to hold back for a moment? Only, now is not the time to expose these Devil Fruit abilities. The reason why I used the Thunder Fruit ability to kill Enel when I was in Sky Island before. That's because even if the people at Sky Island knew this, Obai will not be affected in any way. But now it's different. Even if Teach, Vanoka and others can be killed, but Ace will also know Obai's secret. Before starting Summit War with Ace, he cannot die. After all, among the guys involved in Summit War. But there are a lot of abilities that Obai wants to get. Seeing the smile on Obai's face, Robin behind him couldn't help shrugging, thinking to himself. It seems that even Blackbeard Teach's Dark Fruit ability was acquired by Obai. Think of this. Robin gave Blackbeard Teach a pitying glance across from him. This guy is still showing off his dark fruit ability in front of Obai. But I don't know, at the moment of fighting against Obai. Obai has already obtained this terrifying ability in his mouth. Compared with Obai's act of getting his hands so easily. The decades of Teach. Forget it, let's not compare, lest Teach simply collapse if he can't accept it. The weird reaction between Obai and Robin made Teach very upset. Can't it be the same as the previous ace? Cooperate well, let me pretend to be a force. Since you don't cooperate, don't blame me for being cruel. Teach raised his right hand, which was covered in black mist, and opened his palm to aim at Obai, who was facing him. The next moment, the dark fruit ability activates. A powerful suction burst out, trying to pull Obai into his hands. Dark water. As long as you are touched by yourself, the opponent's ability will be instantly invalid. It is precisely because of this feature that let Teach be full of confidence when facing capable people. However, what makes Teach unacceptable is that obviously he has activated the dark water. But Obai's body didn't even react at all. For Obai also has the ability of dark fruit. Teach wants to use this method to deal with him. That would be too naive. However, since Teach can't think of it, Obai doesn't mind cooperating well with each other. In Teach's surprised eyes, Obai's body finally seemed to be out of control, being gradually pulled over by his own dark water. However, after he was really close, Teach didn't wait for him to grab it, and he used the characteristics of dark fruit's ability to make him lose his resistance. Under Teach's horrified gaze, Obai raised his right fist and slammed it on Teach's big face. Boom! There was a loud bang, and Teach's body flew out with a bang. You are a dark fruit person, right? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.